What's up and welcome back to Bar Down Talking Hockey, episode number 58, presented by the Barroom Network. My name is Vinny Parisi, and I did the Kessel run in 12 parsecs. And this right here, this is Frankie Mueller, and his family is strong with the Force. And this right here, this is Joey Parisi, and his family is connected to the dark side. Joseph, we'll start with you since you're wearing the helmet. May the 4th be with you. How you doing?
May the 4th be with you. I don't know how that'll sound with that, but I'm pumped for Star Wars Day. This is like a holiday for me, boys.
Guys,
Happy
we have a
Star
great
Wars
special
Day.
guest joining the show. Everybody give it up for Grogu!
Hey, there we go. There we go.
Grogu!
That's hilarious.
So it was either I started the show with the helmet on or I had a lightsaber like swinging around, but we just went for the practical thing.
Frank, how you doing? May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with both of you. I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited for all the Star Wars content that I've been watching and soon to come out. So, yeah, may the 4th be with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Frank, what is your number one favorite Star Wars movie? You're by yourself. You're in a room. You got no girlfriend to answer to. You got no family to answer to. No friends to answer to. You get to watch one Star Wars movie. You get to choose. What is it?
Probably 6.
6.
I really like
Return
the
of
ending
Jedi.
of 6 a lot.
That's a great answer. I believe Mr. JP will agree with you.
I do agree with you. That is, it is just fun. I literally just watched it like 4 days ago. It was over a long stretch of.
It's got all
one
the
of those.
feels.
It does. It literally does. And just something about seeing, Master Luke Skywalker, opposed to Jedi Luke Skywalker and episode. Like people love episode 4, people love episode 5. Something about him whipping out that green lightsaber for the first time, just it hits you.
No doubt about it. Mine's 4. I really love 4, and I'll tell you why I love 4. 4, I started liking 4 more after Rogue One came out, because Rogue One has my favorite scene in any Star Wars movie. The final scene of Rogue One is my favorite scene of any Star Wars content ever. I love it. And episode 4, that's where the end of Rogue One starts to pick up, and I kind of just love the introductions. Meeting Luke, meeting Han, Chewie, the Cantina bar. I love the whole thing. So shout out to the we all picked an original, but I think we did the prequels and sequels though, more than most people.
As Giovanna says, she says it's her favorite. Episode 3, I don't care what anyone says, is a very close to my favorite movie. Like I love it. I actually was almost about to run it today before we went live on the show, but I didn't have time because I didn't want to have to stop it. I will watch it soon because, as you guys know, we are all looking forward to Kenobi, which is coming out later this month. I have a feeling this Kenobi show, and I'm completely okay with admitting that I like the shows. First of all, the Mandalorian show is probably my favorite Star Wars piece. If I have to choose only one Star Wars, it's probably going to be the Mandalorian, just because I love it so much. I don't care if it's new. I don't believe in that. Okay, you stick with the originals, but it's not the same. I'm okay with admitting that something new comes along and that I like it. I love the Mandalorian that much.
Like McDavid's more skilled than Gretzky.
Yeah, it was exactly. Perfect comparable. Like people who are afraid to admit that the old person is not is someone's better. But I have a feeling this Kenobi show is going to kind of blow everything away. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi's always been my favorite Jedi. I got his lightsaber sitting right over there. So I'm a big Obi-Wan Kenobi guy, and I can't wait to see his story, kind of some unfilled gaps in between 3 and 4. So.
Hell yeah, Frank! I know you watch the shows, and I know you is your favorite scene in episode 6, or is there a scene somewhere else? No spoilers, but are there any scenes from a different movie that might be your favorite?
I really like the ending of 6. I don't want to say anything about it, but just how it all comes together, kind of ending the original trilogy. I do like the sequel trilogy a lot more than a lot of people, I think. Like, those are some of my favorite movies, too. I like 7, 8, and 9 more than 5, to be honest with you, just because I don't know. 5 has a lot of if I grew up and I got to see 5 in theaters, I think my opinion would change. But I kind of knew everything, all the spoilers going into it. So anything that happened, Luke, I'm your father, everybody knows that line. I was already expecting all that stuff from the original trilogy. So I don't know. I there's a lot of stuff I like about it. Each different in its own way, but I really like the ending of 6 a lot.
Joe, Darth Vader never says, Luke, I am your father. He says, no, I am your father. Why do people get that misconstrued?
Because I don't know, somewhere along the line there must have been a joke somewhere. It's a common saying to say Luke. I am. It's
I
that
know.
that
If you watch
must have
it,
happened. That must have happened on a show or something, or that went viral or something. But yeah, it's not. But I don't know.
there you go.
Doesn't really
Well,
matter.
today's Star Wars Day. I'm
I
sure
agree,
we'll all.
Frank. I agree, Frank. I love the sequels as well.
I
Anything
love.
Star Wars. If they throw that Star Wars tag on it, I'm gonna end up loving it. So
Yeah, me too. And I've come to like the prequels a little more lately, especially Episode 3. After watching lots of episodes of Clone Wars and Rogue One, The Bad Batch, all that stuff. Episode 3 to me is just outstanding. Um, I don't like Episode 2 very much, just because I have to watch the most evil villain in the history of storytelling frolic in the flowers. That to me is just a little weird. I didn't need to see that. But today's Star Wars, and I wanted to show you guys something. No free ads. Check out this donut that I got. Okay, it's from Spunky Dunkers. Look at this little guy.
All right.
Baby
damn,
Yoda with some
you're gonna,
stars.
you're gonna taste it.
Chocolate donut. Oh, I tasted one already.
I thought you were about to take a bite right now and give us a little impromptu review.
I bought the last two. I'll give you a review. The donut was incredible. It was like an 8.9 donut. Spunky Dunkers is
What's
fantastic.
inside of it?
It's just a plain Jane donut. It's not a cake one. It's
It's
like
not
a
filled?
typical. No,
Oh, it's rare that you see a donut that doesn't have the donut hole.
it had a
cut out
hole.
with-
It has a hole. It's covered
Oh, it
by
has
the
a hole.
Baby Yoda ring.
Oh, I thought it was
Yeah.
filled.
No,
That would be cool if it had like green, like vanilla cream.
Yeah.
no. But on the
Yeah.
topic of donuts, Spunky Dunkers does have outstanding filled donuts, like non-Star Wars related. But are you either of you, before we get into hockey, are either of you going to take in any Star Wars content today? Frank, you first.
Yeah, I'm still watching Clone Wars, grinding through the second season, getting to the tail end of that. So I'll probably definitely watch that after I watch.
Joe, he's got the good stuff coming
finale.
up.
But
Yeah. What season are you on, Frank?
He's
I'm
about
like
to kill
we're a little more than halfway through season 2.
Nice. Yeah, it's gonna start getting good. You're gonna see some really cool storylines there.
I can't wait till Frankie sees season 7. That's what I'm most excited about.
That season 7 is different. It's got a completely different feel, slightly different animation. Is the first year
Disney
that
Plus.
Disney had Star Wars that they made season 7.
Yeah, Joe, you taking in any Star Wars content today? Before I know you got the bees tonight and a whole bunch of hockey and the Crosstown Classic and all that, but
Yeah. Honestly, it's a pretty low key day for once. After this show, got the bees at 6, so whatever time I have in between that, I don't know. Maybe I'll throw something on. I was actually gonna watch episode 3 this morning before the show, but like I said, I didn't have time. So we'll see if I have time to throw something on.
I have a little bit of preparing to do. I'm going to watch the last episode of What If tonight, so I can be ready for Doctor Strange tomorrow. But outside of that, I think I'll try to find at least an hour or two to at least take in a little bit of Star Wars content. That episode of what's it called? I'm blanking on it. Book of Boba Fett, the one episode that I'm not going to spoil anything, but the one episode, you know what I'm talking about. Joe Mandel in the comments, Hayden Christensen watched the whole Clone Wars series to prepare for the Obi-Wan show. That's probably smart.
I saw that. I read all about it actually, and like the voice actor from the Anakin Skywalker who voice acts Anakin in Clone Wars commented on it, and he made some great points. Like honestly, like that's just a genius move by Hayden Christensen, and he should, because the character development in Clone Wars for Anakin Skywalker is more than you get in the prequels. Like, so seeing that in between, like you said, it was hard for you to watch the evil villain frolicking in the flowers. Well, he's not an evil guy at that point. He didn't have not necessarily a lot of things in his life go wrong for him to, turn evil. It's not until you see a lot of things happen in the second half of episode 2 with his mom, and then a lot of little storylines that you just see his character develop into what you see in episode 3, and then the tipping point. And so, if I'm the actor playing a character, I want to know everything about this character. In that canon Star Wars and the Clone Wars, that is the most character development that you see from Anakin Skywalker. So credit to Hayden Christensen for just further developing his character that he's going to play in this upcoming show.
Absolutely. And we got the trailer for Obi-Wan today. It was outstanding to watch. Yeah, Anakin sure hates the Sand People. There's no doubt about that. I hate the Sand People. Joe, imitate the Sand People real quick. Yeah. So happy May the 4th to everybody. I hope you saw this Obi-Wan trailer. It's on twitter.com. The lights, camera.
I have not watched it yet. I have not watched it
You
yet.
need to watch it.
That'll be my for sure Star Wars content that I'll watch today.
Yeah, there's something at the end of it that I think will get you all hot and bothered. So make sure you check that out. And speaking of forces coming together, the dark and the light, it's time for me and Joey, specifically with Frankie probably playing the role of moderator today, to go at it here. We got some big things going on in the hockey world. And with that, I'm going to send you off to period number 1. Welcome to period 1, where we probably won't fight as much. We probably mostly agree on some of these. Actually, not really. What we're going to do is we're going to go through each series. And because of the way the show worked and the start of the playoffs, there was one game played for every single team in the playoffs between our last show and now. So we didn't really get a chance to know for sure who was playing each other on the last show. There was actually a couple changes between our last show and today. And there was a couple things that locked itself in, like the Bruins playing the Leafs or the Canes and the Lightning play. Like those things weren't locked in. There was a chance the Bruins could have played the Leafs instead. Like there were just a whole bunch of things that were decided over the weekend. So what we're going to do is for each series, you just got to be honest and say who you picked before game 1, who's in your bracket picked.
You can still edit your bracket. You have like about 3
That's
hours.
so stupid.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's because of what I said. It was decided and then turned around and started playing 2 days later. Like there was no time. Like you have a week to make your March Madness bracket. There's selection Sunday and then they don't start till Thursday. This was like a quick 36 hours.
Technically, the regular season ended Sunday.
Yeah,
night.
I mean the Winnipeg game, but they couldn't open the brackets till the Winnipeg game. You might have noticed that you got notifications about Austin Matthews winning the Rocket Richard and Connor McDavid winning the Art Ross Trophy as the league's leading scorer. You got those at the end of the Kraken Jets game in case someone on Winnipeg gets 50 points in the game and passes McDavid for the Art Ross. You know what I mean? Like it's stupid. It sounds dumb, but that's just the way it is. So it was a quick turnaround. So in a way, I understand it. It's just dumb. Like if you got the Bruins sweeping the Hurricanes now, if you still think the Bruins are going to win the series, that's fine. I do. We'll get to that later. But you're going to change the sweep real quick. Like you're going to go quickly up it to it.
Yeah, I got to go through and do the games played. I want to go next.
Yeah. So, but like I said, you'll either say whether or not you would change your pick based on what you saw from the first game, and then we'll recap the game that was played and go over the rest of the series. So I think that'll be really fun. And we are going to start with what is, in my opinion, the closest series in the Western Conference, and that is the Minnesota Wild against the St. Louis Blues. Joseph, who did you pick in that series, and would you flip your choice?
So I picked the St. Louis Blues, and naturally I'm going to stick with that. I disagree. I don't think this is going to be the closest series in the Western Conference. There's another series that we'll talk about that I just think is honestly could go 7. This one I don't see going 7. I don't know, something about St. Louis this year. I know Minnesota Wild's a great team, but the way St. Louis played in that final stretch of the regular season, like I just love their game going into the playoffs, and they kind of proved it to me on the road in Minnesota. So, or that was in St. Louis, correct?
That was in Minnesota.
It was in Minnesota.
It was in Minnesota, right? The first time. So yeah, because I know that's another thing that changed on the final day of the season. It wasn't decided until that final Friday, who would have home ice advantage in that series. Yep. We knew they were going to play each other, but credit to the Blues.
I have the St. Louis Blues beating the Wild. I just, like Joey said, the Blues are a hot team. They were a hot team towards the end of the season. I thought it was, no pun intended, wild that they went out and got Fleury when they already had Talbot. And I said in previous podcasts that you could have all the goaltending you want. I don't think that's going to really make the difference on whether they're going to get to the Stanley Cup or not. So I didn't see them getting that far anyway. I think they could have rolled with Talbot and been fine and maybe even come out with the same outcome. But yeah, I got the St. Louis Blues beating the Wild, and I would not change it, especially after what I saw after game 1.
Okay, so I did pick the Wild. I think they traded for Fleury to keep him away from the Avalanche. Talbot was 13-0-1 in his last 14 games in the regular season. Dean Evison did confirm that Marc-Andre Fleury will be in net tonight against the St. Louis Blues. I'm going to keep my pick. The Blues are hot. I admit that it's not looking great right now. The Blues dominated that one game, but I think the Wild have a lot of firepower. And if they tie the series up tonight, I'll be feeling good about the pick the rest of the way because I think the Wild can split in St. Louis and then win a big game 5 on the road and then come back for game 7 at home. I believe that could be the case. This is the closest series in my opinion. I think the Wild, they have more firepower than the Blues, but the Blues have more depth. It's going to be interesting to see. I think the one problem for the Wild is the Blues have kind of had their number this year. And the Wild were a better team in the regular season, but they couldn't beat the Blues for whatever reason. And sometimes the team just has your number. So that's my one little asterisk on, what's going on with the Blues and Wild series and my prediction for it. But I'm going to stick with my boys in green.
Yeah, I didn't think any of us would flip. I'll actually be surprised if any one of us flip on any of our
I'm not going to
picks.
flip for any of them. Yeah,
I'm not flipping on any of my picks. I don't know if you are, Vin. It's been one game. You know how many times I've seen, I know they say, I think it's like if you win the first game of the series, you go on 66% of the time to win. I mean, that's still pretty close. You got 66%.
There's one I'm really worried about. I'm not going to flip on it, but there's one I'm a little worried about. And we'll get to that later.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen. I don't know what your guys' bracket, so this should be fun.
That's why I think doing this is fun.
Are we going over our whole bracket? Can we say how far we have these teams going? Or
yeah, I mean, go for it. Sure.
I don't plan on changing my bracket.
Where I got them going, to be honest.
There are some teams that obviously you're going to know, like the teams you have going to the Stanley Cup. I got the Blues going all the way, guys. I have them winning this Western Conference. So.
All right.
St. Louis Blues, they're going to the playoffs just like you want to be going into the playoffs.
If the Blues beat the Wild, I'll be with you. And I think if the Wild win, they'll go to the Cup. That's my honest prediction. I think this is the most important series. The Avalanche, well, we'll get there later. So the rest of the series coming up, it starts tonight in Minnesota, Game 2. I'm looking for Kirill the Thrill to have a big game. I'm sure there are plenty of players on the Blues. Their goaltending has been magnificent in the second half of the season. So, like Joey said, they're the hot team right now. I'm excited for the rest of the series. We're going to make our way over to Alberta for the next 2 series conversations. And, of course, I'm talking about the Los Angeles Kings against the Edmonton Oilers. The Los Angeles Kings won a very close game in game number 1. It was a 4-3 victory, and the Kings, they kept getting out to a lead, and the Oilers were tied, then the Oilers took the lead, then the Kings tied it, and eventually won it. Frank, I'll start with you on this one. Who do you got? And you're not going to change it.
No, I'm not going to change it. I might be in the vast minority here, but I took the Los Angeles Kings to win in 7. I think the Kings were wildly underrated this whole year. I mean, if you just look at the lines for these games, the Kings are big dogs, and the Kings have a better team than what the bookies are showing. Not only that, but I think the Kings also have the better playoff experience with Jonathan Quick and just the rest of the team as well, not just Quick. But I could see, to me personally, I think this is the closest matchup in the Western Conference. I wouldn't be surprised if the Kings win it in less than 7. I really don't see the Oilers winning this series. I got to be honest with you. From what I've seen in years past with the Oilers in the playoffs, I just don't see it. I got the Kings advancing in 7.
Joe, who do you got, and would you flip?
Yeah, so I actually just pulled up my bracket just so I could get an accurate number of who I have in what number of games. Frank, I agree with everything you said except the outcome. I think this is going to be a very close series. I have 7 games. I just got Edmonton winning that game 7. That's what it comes down to. But I agree this is going to be the closest series in the Western Conference. Game 1 kind of proved it. It was back and forth. You had goals from McDavid and Draisaitl, Iafallo had Lemieux, like the big guys who got them to where they are scoring, and I think that's going to continue. I just think when push comes to shove, the Kings aren't going to be able to keep up with that little bit extra that they got in McDavid and Draisaitl. So, but yeah, it's going to be super close all the way.
Everything that you guys think about the Maple Leafs actually applies to the Edmonton Oilers. They find a way to lose no matter how good McDavid is. Draisaitl scored a pretty goal off of a nice pass by McDavid. And I might have said on the podcast a couple weeks ago that I would pick the Oilers if these two teams played each other. I flipped. I picked the Los Angeles Kings to beat the Edmonton Oilers in 6 games. I don't think it's going to be as close as the Wild and the Blues. I just don't. The Kings, they score less goals on average than the Oilers, but they give up almost a whole goal less per game. And what are we talking about here? The Stanley Cup playoffs, where goals are at a premium. The ice gets smaller and smaller as the series go along. I got the Kings winning this series. It wouldn't surprise me if they sweep them. It really wouldn't surprise me if they win in 5. I just don't think Edmonton. Mike Smith is in net again tonight, and he gave up a couple muffins to the Kings. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Jonathan Quick looked pretty good. McDavid and Draisaitl are going to have their cake and eat it, and they still might not win. In order for the Oilers to win tonight, I need to see Ryan Nugent-Hopkins dominate. He needs to go out there and be Edmonton's clear third best player. If that happens, then I think the Oilers can win. But when it's just McDavid and Draisaitl out there and then Mike Smith giving up muffins because the Kings are just too strong and too pesky, I can't see it going the Oilers' way. I'm sorry.
Mike Smith versus Jonathan Quick in the playoffs. It just reminds me of that 2012 season where both guys stood on their head. They were playing out of their minds for the fucking Coyotes. And
I think the Kings are a different team in the playoffs too. Do you remember that one year they got in as the 8th seed and then they just made it? And then they won the cup. That was the year they won the cup.
That was the year I'm talking about, 2012. Yeah. Jonathan Quick just rode it all the way.
It just doesn't make sense. It's like they're just a different breed when it comes to playoff hockey, and that's ultimately went into my decision when picking them.
Yeah,
three teams in the playoffs. Most recent series win is winning the Stanley Cup. Who are they?
The Kings must be
obviously the Kings. Yeah, the Blues.
2014. Nope.
No, not the Blues.
The Maple Leafs.
No. Well, obviously the Lightning. You got to eliminate the last year.
One of them. And then the other one might surprise you. Not really. It won't surprise you.
Penguins?
It's not the Penguins. The Penguins won a series in 2019 after winning, or they won a series in 2018 as the defending Stanley Cup champions, and then they were.
Is it the Capitals?
They were bounced by the answer. The Capitals. Yes, it is the Washington Capitals. They have not won a playoff series since winning the Stanley Cup in 2018. And those are the teams. So there you go. Do you have any final thoughts on Kings versus Oilers before we head into the next series? I know Frankie and I are aligned on this one, and Joey's the odd man out. Will Frankie be the odd man out on any of these series, or will he always have a partner that agrees with him?
I think he'll be the odd man out, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think one of us will be the odd man out on some of them.
I know.
I don't know, dude. I'm not the odd man out.
I think I'm going to be the odd one out.
Anyway, just real quick, while I pulled it up, I do have St. Louis in 7 games in that first series that we talked about.
I don't remember how many games I had. I mean, might have them in 7. I don't have my bracket pulled up.
Same Providence, different series. The Dallas Stars are up in Alberta, taking on the Calgary Flames. Calgary Flames won a close 1-0 game. They scored a power play goal within the first 5 minutes of the game and hung on to win the rest of the day. Joe, I'll start with you on this one. Who did you pick, and are you keeping it, and why?
I got Calgary in 6. Obviously, I'm keeping it. Calgary is just the better team in just about every single way when compared to the Dallas Stars. Yeah, it was cool. The Dallas Stars made it. They got in over the Golden Knights in the final week of the season. All credit to them, but now they have to go ahead against the Calgary Flames, who're just gonna, torch them, with all pun intended. They held the Dallas Stars to 16 shots, which is, you're not gonna win games if you're only putting 16 shots on goal in the playoff. Fairly easy shutout. So, and their offense is going to get going. They're going to go games where they're not only scoring one game. So, I don't know. The Calgary Flames, the only thing I might change is, I'm not going to be able to see game 2, but I could see them getting it done in 5 opposed to 6. I'll probably keep it at 6 just to be safe, but I don't know. Calgary Flames all the way in this series. This one's a no-brainer to me.
There you go. There was a question I was going to ask. Oh, Joe, are you happy that Jacob Markstrom probably watches this show?
If that's, it probably does. Why?
The reason I think it is because Frankie shit on him for having a high rating in NHL 22.
Oh, we did before the yeah.
No, Frankie specifically though, when he was a guest, he wasn't full time yet. It was while he was a guest, just shit on Markstrom for having a high rating in NHL 22. And this man comes out. He wasn't the best goalie in the NHL this season. We'll get to that in the third period. But he was a top 5 goalie in the NHL this season. He will be on the Vezina ballot. He might not be one of the 3 nominees, but when the results come out at the NHL Awards and they show all the guys that got votes, his name will be on there. And he led the league in shutouts in game 1 of the playoffs. He gets shutout number 10 on the season if you include the regular season. Frank, Calgary Flames, Dallas Stars. Who do you got? Would you keep it?
I did that to, light a fire under his ass.
There you go.
Hey, it worked. It worked.
That's my buddy. He was on my fantasy team. I had to get him going.
Yeah, I respect it. I respect it.
No, I got the Calgary Flames, though. I don't remember if I had him in 5 or 6. I might have had him in 5 just because, I don't know. Dallas didn't test Markstrom, and they're not going to win a game without having to test Markstrom. There were only 16 shots on goal. You got to look. You got Ben, Pavelski, Suter, Sagan. They're all veterans here, and they know how to win close playoff games and stuff like that. But you don't test one of the best goalies in the league. You don't test Jacob Markstrom. Are you kidding me? I mean, they just made it so easy for him. And if that's the way they're going to play the series, they're going to have really bad news coming along here. I don't know. Calgary Flames, I'd say in 5. We'll see what happens.
I think I said I might go back to 5. The reason, I don't think the series is going to be close, but I'm going to give them that 5 or 6 games because Dallas will win a game, I think. We're not going to get a sweep. And the one game that they do win, remember I said this, it'll be the game that Robertson just goes off. And that will happen. This dude is a gifted goal scorer. He finished the season with 41 goals. He had a hat trick in the final week of the season or something like that. There's going to be a game, probably maybe game 3, the first game in Dallas. Robertson's going to just completely pop off, and it's going to give the Stars life. But then the game that he doesn't score, which will be most of them, or at least have a couple goals, the Calgary Flames will take control. They're going to need him to literally take control every game because he seems to be the offensive that runs that train over in Dallas.
Who's Calgary's coach?
Daryl Sutter.
Daryl Sutter. Yeah. Daryl Sutter is the king of implementing a system that keeps the other team under 20 shots when the playoffs roll around. He won 2 Stanley Cups with it, and he probably could have won a 3rd. I'm telling you, the Calgary Flames are going to be so hard to beat. From what I saw in the playoff game, I'm actually, I'm not going to change my bracket now because I picked the Wild to play my Eastern Conference champion. I already told you that. I think Calgary, that might be my switch. I think Calgary is going to go to the Cup because of Daryl Sutter and what he gets his team to do to their opponents. They got a 1-0 lead and became the 2000 New Jersey Devils from that point on. Gain the neutral zone, dump it. Gain the neutral zone, dump it. Gain the neutral zone, dump it. And they won the game 1-0. It was just a magnificent display of defensive prowess by a Calgary team that has so many gifted players. Tkachuk is one of the best power forwards in the NHL, if not the best power forward in the NHL. Jonathan Ice Hockey is one of the most skilled players in the NHL. I would love to see him come to the Devils this summer. It is possible, I would say. Both of you guys coughed at the same time. Freaking chill.
Did we actually?
Yeah. Neither of you were looking either, so neither of you knew that. Both of you clowns were going like this at the exact same time. Those Kings were so good with Daryl Sutter, and yes, I picked the Calgary Flames to beat the Dallas Stars. I'll go 5 because I agree with Joey. Robertson could pop off no matter how good the opponent's system is. A system will win you a series. It's not going to win you every single game. But if Calgary sweeps Dallas, I also will be 0% surprised because they still could win a game that becomes a chess match because Robertson pops off. Let's say there's a game in Dallas where Robertson does pop off. Would it surprise Yanni if Tkachuk or Hockey keep up with him? Wouldn't surprise me. So that's why I'm sticking with Calgary. I think it's going to be a short series. And speaking of short series, we're going to head over to Denver, where the Colorado Avalanche just put an absolute ass whooping on the Nashville Predators. Now, Nashville's missing their star goalie, but they probably wouldn't even be in the playoffs if they didn't have UC Saros on their team, like if Rene Ritter retired and they have David Rittich as their starter all season long instead of Saros, a guy who will be nominated for the Vezina Trophy, I believe, or at least he'll get votes. He'll be top 5. They probably wouldn't have made the playoffs. And he's hurt right now, and the Colorado Avalanche just put an absolute beating on them. Joe, I know your answer here. I know you're not going to change it, but for the sake of conversation, who do you got in the series, and would you change it?
I got Nashville. I think we get a big upset here. Just kidding. No, obviously I have Colorado.
I'm clipping that and putting it on Twitter.
Obviously I have Colorado. I told you, I'm pretty sure it was the conversation with you, Vin. I don't know if I remember it was on the show that UC Saros is not healthy. I said that as the season ended. I can't remember if it was a conversation we had or if it was actually on the show. I literally don't remember when I talked about this, but I remember saying he is not healthy, and without him, this team is nothing. And, you're not going to win a game. You give up 7 goals, especially when you got Nate Dogg and Cale Makar already putting the puck in the net. So, yeah, I don't know. I might change it from 5 games to 4. That's what I got right now. I got Colorado in 5. It's hard to pick a sweep. It's hard to sit there and say, I don't think this team is going to win a single game. It happens, but we'll see. I got Colorado in 5.
Frank?
Yeah, Colorado, they're actually my pick to win the Stanley Cup this year. And they proved that with a 7-2 victory. I mean, they have so much depth. You name a player, they had an impact on this game 1. They won 7-2. They had a shorthanded goal, regular goal, power play goal. You name it, they could just do it all. And that was pure domination. And I'm actually giving the Predators more credit because I think I have Colorado in 6. But they just absolutely came out to play, destroyed Nashville, and I don't know. I think they're going all the way. I think this is the year of the Lance.
I lost sleep, Frank, over picking a series between the Blues and the Avs. Like, obviously, I have the winner of that series going on to the Stanley Cup. I don't know, something about the Blues, but yeah. The reason I bring that up is because I love that you have the Avalanche going to the Stanley Cup. I love it. I lost sleep over trying to decide who I was picking between St. Louis and Colorado.
I love it too. I worry,
and I'm rooting for Colorado. Like I'm a Colorado guy.
I worry if Colorado has to play the Wild. They do not match up well against them. The Avalanche should be rooting for the Blues hard. They just don't match up well with the Wild. The Wild almost caught them in points. Remember on this show we laughed at how big of a lead that the Avalanche had in the Western Conference over the second place team. Did you check the final standings? The Avalanche had 6 more points than the Wild. Those two teams, they do not like each other very much. I also worry about Colorado if they face Calgary in the conference finals. So I hope they do, though, because then we'll see outstanding theater. But, yeah, I got the Colorado Avalanche. I think a sweep if Saros doesn't play. I'll go 5 if he does. Saros can steal when he's capable. But, is there anything else in the Western Conference that either you want to touch on before we get out of here?
Well, before we transition to the East, I mean, just go over that we got we got the Western Conference represented by the Central Division from all 3 of us. So it's you got Minnesota, I got St. Louis.
Got Minnesota going to the finals?
Yeah.
We got Colorado. So I mean, I'd be shocked if it's not one of those 3 teams, but I mean, Calgary could always.
Calgary.
Yeah. Do we all have Calgary in the conference final?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
So at least we agree on the Pacific side of things.
Yes, absolutely. So when we agree, that also follows with plenty of disagreement. And we will get to said disagreement in full force in period number 2. Welcome to period 2. Joseph Parisi. We will lead off with a certain series taking place in Raleigh, North Carolina. The Boston Bruins were just absolutely shit-canned by the Carolina Hurricanes 2 days ago. Game 2 is tonight. Who did you pick, and would you change it, and why?
I got the Boston Bruins winning the series. Shocker. No, I would not change it. No, I'm not worried. We could kind of talk about game 1 in depth here, and I could tell you exactly what happened, I have an answer for everything. I know who I'm happy with. I know who needs to be better, and I know what I'm going to see tonight in Game 2. So where should I start?
Wherever your little heart desires, my friend.
The Bruins put up, which, by the way, Frank, I know we're not in this portion of the show where we fucking give out money to the listeners. You bet the Bruins to take the over in shots on goal every single game, and you will be a wealthy, wealthy man. They put up
Or
36 shots.
woman.
Or woman. I was talking to Frankie. He's not a woman. At least that we know of. He could be whatever he wants in today's day. So 36 shots on goal. Over. That was the over. Easy over. It was set at 32.5. Antti Raanta played out of his mind. It was one of those situations where you're worried that you're not playing against the number one guy, and then all of a sudden the number two guy is like, fucking, okay, this guy's playing pretty good. He looked shaky at first. Raanta's rebound control wasn't there. The Bruins were doing everything right except the finish. Just the pucks just were falling off their sticks. Just there was no finish. But, you know, in a game where things go your way, the Bruins win this game. I'm a firm believer. Like Taylor Hall hits the post when it's 2-1. Taylor Hall was playing out of his mind. David Pastrnak just couldn't get a handle on certain shots. I was very happy with the way that Nosek, Lazar, and Foligno play. That like fourth lines can win you Stanley Cups, and I was happy with the way they played in that game. The third line, Charlie Coyle, I thought had a great game. What my concern is, Brad Marchand needs to be Brad Marchand. He has played like absolute shit in the last half month of the year. Like it is unbelievable. He has 1 goal in his past 15 games. The Bruins are where they are. It was an empty netter. Exactly. I meant to say that. I forgot. I'm worked up over here. He scores that 1 goal in his past 15 games. This team runs on Brad Marchand. You can say what you want about Patrice Bergeron, David Pastrnak. Brad Marchand, the work he puts in on the ice, the way he enters the zone, he puck handles, he finds people, he makes plays, even if he's not on the score sheet. He was involved in the play in one way or another. He needs to get to that. He can't lose this mental battle with whatever was said in the regular season with him and Vincent Trocheck, and then now Vinny Trocheck scoring goals and he's not. He needs to take leadership and, you know, be the Brad Marchand, the 100-point guy that he is. And I do believe that he will do that. I've seen him do it in many, many seasons in the playoffs. And then not to mention Taylor Hall and David Pastrnak playing on what you call line 2. I love the way Allmark played. Yeah, you look at the final score of the game, 5-1 final. You're going to think, oh, start Jeremy Swayman in game 2. I thought that was going to be the case. Going into this series, I wanted Allmark to start game 1. He was the better goalie in the final stretch. Now you have 2 goalies who, you know, neither of them have played in the playoffs. One is more of a veteran in the NHL. One is 23 years old. And you have the veteran guy who's been playing out of his mind in the final week of the season. You go with Allmark, and he played very good. If you watched the game, there was a lot of goals where you kind of had to pin it on the Bruins, some deflections. The odd man rushes were totally in favor of Carolina. You can't let that happen. So I like the call with Bruce to go back with Allmark in game 2. Let him know that, hey, dude, this isn't your fault. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're fine. Let's win this game in Carolina and go back to Boston tied 1-1. That's what's going to happen. That's where I'm at. I'm not worried one bit. I'm sticking with everything I got. The Bruins in 5.
Frank?
Joe, I'm sorry. I went with the Carolina Hurricanes.
What the fuck?
And this is where I knew I'd be the odd man out.
When Vinny said you, Frank, you might not be the odd man out, Frank's like, fuck.
I got to be honest with you. I went with the Carolina Hurricanes. I think it's probably the worst matchup the Bruins could have went up against. I think they'd have a better chance against the Panthers. I think they'd have a better chance against the Lightning, the Leafs. I think of all 8 playoff teams, obviously 7 not including the Bruins, I think the Carolina Hurricanes are like their kryptonite. And I mean, the Hurricanes have beat them 4 straight, and in those 4, they've outscored them 21-2. I was kind of shocked that Allmark started. Joe, I texted you. I goes, where's Swayman at? I mean, I didn't like that you're starting a guy. I mean, neither have playoff experience, but you're starting a guy who just the Carolina Hurricanes own. He's got an above 4 ERA against the Hurricanes and a team that's already owning you. I don't like it. If it was up to me, I'd start Swayman tonight. I don't know. I think it's very unlucky. Bruins had 107 points and have to face the Carolina Hurricanes, but That's my pick. I got the Carolina Hurricanes winning the series, and I have them going to the Stanley Cup to play the Colorado Avalanche.
Oh. Hurts my heart, Frank. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm sorry, Jay. I'm sorry.
Do you have a rebuttal?
We're supposed to be in this together. We're family, and he just honestly took a big shit.
I'm not picking with my heart. I'm picking with what I think.
Two of our 3 teams got eliminated. We were supposed to come together as one.
Now here's what's gonna happen. Here's what's gonna happen. The Bees are gonna win, and he's gonna have a little personal vendetta against them. The rest of the
I'm not. If the Bees win, I'm not. It's nothing against you. I'm just not choosing I'm just choosing who I think.
Allmark is for sure starting tonight. The only lineup changes between this and game 1 is they made a slight defensive pairing change. Lindholm is now paired with Brandon Carlo for the first time, and Grizzlick got moved up to play with McAvoy again. So
hopefully that helps. I picked the Bruins. If they win tonight, then win both in Boston, then lose game 5, then win game 6 is my prediction. I've seen the Bruins go down 0-1 to a team that dominated them in the regular season before. And then
I've seen it. It seems like that's like the theme. It's like the theme with the Bruins, and they just do it knowing it gives me like anxiety attacks.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we got the Bruins winning. Now it's time for the fight.
Frank, I'm gonna need you to back me up.
I don't care what he says. I want you. I want you. Frankie uses logic in his argument against them. It's bullshit logic, but at least he uses logic. You just put on your anti-blue colored glasses and you have what you have. The Toronto Maple Leafs are hosting the Tampa Bay Lightning in game 1 or in the first round series of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And in game 1, the Toronto Maple Leafs just shit on the Tampa Bay Lightning. It is a bad time to be a Maple Leafs hater. Let me give you some stats. Okay. Mitch Marner had gone 18 straight playoff games without a goal. That's one of the reasons that they just kept losing playoff series after series after series, was that their top guys weren't stepping up. Marner goes out there, and not only does he end his goal drought, he has 1 goal and 2 assists to kill his little drought. He helps Austin Matthews score 2 goals and add 1 assist. Austin Matthews already scored the number of goals that Frankie said he needed to score in the series in order for them to win. Now, I think the fact that he has 2 in the first game, the bar set even higher. Of course, I understand that. But this team, Tavares had an assist. Nylander, who has been their best playoff guy in the last 3 years, is the only one of the big 4 that didn't have a point. So expect a big game from him at home, where they were just bad all season long. They beat the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions. Joseph, now Frank, I'll start with you on this one, actually. Who did you pick? Are you going to change it? And why?
I'm not changing my pick. I chose the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think the Toronto Maple Leaf, that was just a fluke. I mean, let's not forget, this is a team that led 3-1 against the Montreal Canadiens and then ended up choking. So I don't care if it's 3-0. I still won't believe it till I see it. Jack Campbell isn't going to be able to shut down the Tampa Bay offense every game like that. No way. Now, the only thing that the Leafs had going for him that I give him credit is that Matthews did have 2 goals and an assist. Right? He did have an assist. Yeah, He had 2 goals and an assist in game 1. So that's the biggest reason why I think that they were able to win, because every other year he's done jack shit. They get bounced in the first round. But no, I don't believe it. They're not a good home team. The Lightning are going to come out swinging tonight. I don't think the Leafs have a chance in tonight's game. And I would be shocked if the Leafs won this series.
Joe, you complete moron. Leafs versus Lightning.
The way you're reacting is like they're up 3-0. They won 1 game. The outcome of that
dominated.
The outcome of this series, is no different than the outcome in like the LA series where it was a 1-goal game, or the Pittsburgh series. What
about the Minnesota series? Blues dominated, but you still think the Wild are going to win them?
Yeah, the Blues. It was literally the same exact score.
Yeah. Okay, I think the Wild have a chance.
And the Blues were on the road.
You can think a team is going to be able to come back, and you can think a team is going to continue riding their momentum.
Okay. They won their home game, as they should. If Tampa Bay wins tonight, there's no way you can be saying all the dumb shit you're saying right now.
They're
Like
in trouble.
I have the Tampa Bay Lightning in 7 games. There's a reason I picked 7. No shit. I hope the Leafs can win a fucking game, but they're not going to be able to do what they just did every single game. They're not going to be able to. And in the games that they're not able to do that, the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to do that. You think you're going to hold Kucherov, Stamkos? How many looks did Stamkos have? They had a 5-minute major from the disgusting hit from Kyle Clifford.
The Leafs had more chances on the 5-minute major, killing the damn penalty.
Exactly. You think that's going to happen to the Tampa Bay Lightning every single time?
The Leafs are ready to play against the Lightning. You're not going to win every year. The Lightning can't win every year.
We'll see how many players.
Is bad. The Lightning power play is terrible, and this is somebody who watches the Bruins play regularly.
We'll see how many terrible, disgusting plays the Leafs need to make in order to make this series close. I don't know how if they're just trying to take out the Lightning guys. And all the NHL, what do? 1 game. That's what they did with that.
But the NHL sees it as if anybody should be mad, it's Blues fans. Spurgeon should have gotten a game. I can't believe we forgot to touch on that. Spurgeon should have gotten
cross-check to the ankle.
Oh, stop it!
If a
Leaf would have did that, they should have been kicked out of the league. They should have got.
A Leaf did something worse. A Leaf did something worse. He checked a guy who didn't even have a puck into the boards on the numbers, and he gets 1 game.
It was a bad hit. It was a
terrible hit.
1 playoff game is 5 regular season games.
No, that's bullshit.
That is stated by the NHL. That's
bullshit. Because if a certain guy in black and gold were to do something like that, he'd be getting the rest of the fucking cup.
Well, that guy should start scoring some goals.
and he will. Just like Steven Stamkos will, just like Nikita Kucherov will.
Yeah, there's no way Jack Campbell holds down the course this month. Vin, you touched on it too, that Jack Campbell's not the answer for Toronto, and that you're shocked that they didn't go out and get a goalie. So how is he going to keep this up all game?
You're right. I did say that, but he did get hot in the last week of the regular season. He had a shutout in the last week of the regular season too. He's feeling good right now.
In a 7-game series, though, I don't think he's going to be able to contain it.
I lost the fantasy championship because of Jack Campbell.
You'll be the first person to admit that Andrei Vasilevskiy is the best goalie in the world, probably right now.
He's going to come in second for the Vezina Trophy. He might be the second best.
You think he's just going to give up 5 goals every single game? He's going to come to play. And just wait. If he wins tonight and they go back with home ice advantage technically against these schmucks, going to Amalie Arena – dude, you're acting like this series is 3-0 Leafs. It's 1-0. There's no difference from a 5 in the playoffs. Here's what I've learned: there's no difference from a 5-0 final in Game 1, a 7-0 final game, or a 1-0 final in quadruple overtime. At the end of the day, that series is 1-0 the other team, and the Lightning are gonna win tonight and tie this series up.
I couldn't agree more that the Lightning very well could win this series. I'm not acting like they're up 3-0. I'm telling you that this is a different Leafs team than we've ever seen before. Austin Matthews is the best player in the NHL. Mitch Marner is just outworldly this year. Tavares is feeling good. Nylander's getting on the score sheet tonight. That's a Vinny Parisi guarantee. Jared says Lightning will even it up tonight. Tampa has felt out the Leafs and know what it takes to win. Watch for Tampa players to start getting under the skin of Toronto. That's very possible. I don't think it's a guarantee that the Leafs win this game tonight, but it's going to be a long series. The Leafs are better than either of you give them credit for, and they have a serious chance to end that postseason series win drought this year.
They do. Just not going to happen against these Lightning. It sucks that Frank, you were saying it sucks that the 107-point Bruins have to go up. It sucks that these Toronto Maple Leafs have to go against the 2-time Stanley Cup champion, who I'm not saying are going to win the Cup, but they're not getting first round eliminated to these bums. These dirty players. I'm waiting for Poppy to do something stupid, cross-check another guy in the face and get a slap on the hand.
Yeah.
Then he won't be scoring goals.
Pablo, I'm growing a mustache for Pablo. I'm shaving the rest of I'm growing the Pablo mustache until the Leafs get eliminated. And I'm telling you right now, this is the year for the Leafs. I don't know about winning the Cup. I didn't pick them to win the Cup. I didn't pick them to make it to the Cup, but I'm riding with them to the Cup unless they play the Bruins. But Mr. Pablo himself is on another level. They're not shutting him down either. Everything you said about Stamkos and Kucherov, the guys who are already
down. It's been one game in Toronto.
No shot. They don't have anybody. They don't have a third line like they used to. They don't have Coleman and Goudreau and Palat to shut down a top team's line anymore. Austin Matthews played with their food the other day. took advantage of a Vasilevsky mistake. They outchanced the Lightning when they were shorthanded for 5 minutes. The Lightning looked like they were shorthanded, and they had the extra guy for the entire 5 minutes.
It's not going to be like this every single game. I'm telling you.
It's not. The Lightning aren't going to get swept.
The Tampa Bay Lightning are going to look like a completely different team tonight.
And so are the Maple Leafs, because they're not going to look
They
like
will, because they're not going to be as good as they were.
No, they can't play like that and win again. They're going to have to win a couple low-scoring games where Matthews does what he does, and they're going to give up a goal or two. There's no doubt they got to win a game 3-2.
The Leafs
they're not
don't
going to
lose.
win every game 5-0. I'm not stupid.
The Leafs do not win low-scoring games.
Why? Yeah,
they don't. No, they don't.
That is the best Leafs team in your life.
It is. I'll admit that. They have a 60 goal scorer. They have the highest single season goal scoring American, do they not?
Yeah, Matthews broke that record. He broke that record like March.
Okay. It is the best Leafs team. Anyone who argues that is just stupid. I don't care how many cups those guys in the fucking 60s have or whatever.
No.
I don't give a shit about that. This is the best Leafs team, and they still stink.
They don't stink. And one of the Lightning or Leafs are going to be gone after the first round, and that's one of the major problems with the current NHL alignment. I think you would agree with that.
Yes, I do agree with that.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll leave it at that for now. The Leafs are going to make you cry. And next week on this show, when they're up 3-1, you're going to say, last year they were up 3-1 to the Montreal Canadiens, and that's going to happen again that the team wins 3 straight. The Leafs never learned their lesson.
Lightning in 5.
Yeah, you think they're going to win 4 straight after getting dummied 5-0?
I think it's possible.
Yeah,
Frank, if that happens, Frank, I'll buy you $20 worth of Taco Bell and watch you eat it.
$20 worth of Taco Bell. If they win 4 straight, that's a sweep. If they win 4 straight, you have to buy for each of us a Tampa Bay shirt.
Holy shit, dude.
And what if the Leafs win? What if
Then
the Leafs win?
That's not like, I mean,
And you
I have
take your
7
pride
years.
and
Yeah, you fucking shut your mouth.
What? No. What if the Leafs win?
We'll win what? The series?
You're so confident that it's impossible that I want something if they win. If I make that bet.
I didn't say it's impossible. I picked Tampa in 7 games. Guess what? That means the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to win 3 games. So they just crossed off one of those wins. So if anything, I'm on my way to being right.
There you go. That's our segment on the Leafs versus the Lightning. Joey and Frankie give the Leafs no respect. I'm a little surprised.
Here's
I'm a
what
little surprised from Frankie.
Because one game doesn't matter. One game doesn't mean
the Carolina
anything.
Hurricanes, who haven't proven jack ass in the last 20 years since winning the Cup in 06, which coincidentally I'm pretty sure is the last time the Leafs won a playoff series. They haven't done jack shit. They went 15 years without making the playoffs in general until 2 years ago. And now the Carolina Hurricanes. But for the Leafs, for some reason, though, because they keep running into the teams that end up going to the Cup, if the Lightning beat the Leafs, they're going to the Cup again.
The
I
what?
think so.
Yeah.
That's like going back on your claim that the Florida Panthers would beat them.
No,
No, yeah, look, he instantly retracted that statement.
I told you there was a series I was worried about. I did say that earlier in the show. I saw something in that game that really scares the crap out of me. On what day was it? Monday. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. But one of us will be right. One of us will be laughing in the other person's face. Oh, will the series be over a week from now? Frankie thinks so because he thinks the Lightning are going to win 4 straight.
We'll be celebrating next Wednesday.
Yeah. You know what's going to be funny though? If the Leafs win, you guys are going to sit there and go, well, there's no chance that they beat the Washington Capitals or the Florida Panthers, whoever they play. And I'm just going to be like, okay.
Game 5 is Tuesday of next week. So, Frank,
Perfect.
we're celebrating the reverse sweep on next week's show.
I'm bringing
These are
champagne to the show.
Oh, yeah.
Complete Muppets. The Leafs, they won at home. Matthews scored. Marner scored. All the things that were negatives about them, they shit down their throat on Monday. And they're going to do the exact same thing tonight. I don't know about 5-0, but I need Pablo to come through for me here. I know you're watching, Austin. I know you're watching.
I'm just happy those guys – here's what I'm happy about. I'm happy that those guys, performed well for the Leafs on the same game that the Lightning just completely shit the bed. because the odds of both of those things happening again are not going to happen. John Cooper said it himself, and yeah, the head coach is going to say shit like this, but I agree with it.
You want John Cooper to say?
I
You
agree
want
with
John
it.
Cooper to be like, yeah, they shit on us. We got no chance.
No, what he said was,
Idiot.
I'm pretty sure, or he said something along the lines of, it didn't take much to beat us tonight. Meaning he knows his team played like dog shit.
Coaches always say when they get fucked.
Okay, the coach said that, but me as a observer is also saying that. A lot of people as observers are saying, if you fucking have a hockey brain,
There's no
if
way
you have a
they
hockey
dominate
brain,
that again.
if you have a brain, you're gonna, after watching some of that game, and it was going on at the same time as the Bruins, so like I wasn't fully invested as I would have liked to be. If you have a hockey brain and you saw anything on that game, you know the Tampa Bay Lightning just played like shit. And when you're playing a good team in the
because Toronto made them play like shit. That is a fact.
you're
Do I
giving
think
Toronto
they're going to play like shit like that again? No. But
sometimes guys just sometimes don't come to play, and that's what happened to the Tampa Bay Lightning.
do you know, I literally think Austin Matthews is the greatest 5-on-5 goal scorer I've ever seen. Because here's the thing. Ovechkin needs people to pass him the puck on the power play. He's the greatest goal scorer I've ever seen, and I think he's going to break Gretzky's record. But he needs a centerman or a defenseman to feed him one tees on the power play. There's no doubt. Matthews doesn't need help from anyone. He just needs to get shots on goal, and 20% of them go in. So Matthews is coming. They're not. Everything you said about the Lightning is true. They are going to come out tonight a different team. But do you think the Leafs are just going to like pull back now that they won a game 5-0? Their coach Sheldon Keefe is telling them all the same shit you just said. Sheldon Keefe is telling them those Lightning, they're mad. Stamkos, Kucherov.
I get that, and it's hard. It's more difficult to do what you did the game before, which is what they need to do. It was perfect from the Leafs in game 1. It's harder to come out in game 2 and do exactly what you already did than it is to be better.
Okay.
I just think Tampa Bay is just too smart of a team to let that happen again.
But
They're
eventually it
experience.
ends. Eventually it ends.
It does eventually.
I'm not saying they're going to win the
The
cup.
Hawks lost to Nashville.
I'm not saying they're going to win the cup either.
No, I'm not. They're not going to win the cup. But they're not going to lose to a team that can't win a first-round series.
The Hawks lost to Nashville in 2017. The Hawks were more experienced. They had better players. They were the smarter team, and Nashville shit on them. That happens with elite teams sometimes. When two really good teams play each other.
Yeah, but the Hawks didn't have that same roster that they had. I mean, look at Tampa's roster. Nothing's changed.
But the Hawks still had Duncan Keith, Brent Seabrook, Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, and Corey Crawford. The Lightning still have Steven Stamkos, Nikita Kucherov, Braden Point, Victor Hedman, and Andrei Vasilevsky. Like, the core is still there. But the Leafs core is no joke. The Leafs have better forwards than Tampa. That's my opinion. But Tampa has a better defense and a better goalie. So we'll see what happens. Are you excited about this series, though? Does this little inter-podcast rivalry, like, are you having fun with it, or are you just mad?
I have nothing to be mad. I have nothing to be mad about. I have Toronto winning 3 games.
You're mad. You were
I'm
mad.
not mad.
You were mad as shit at hockey on Monday. There's just no way you weren't. The Bruins got fucked.
No
the
shit.
Leafs fucked.
Oh shit! What do you want me to be happy? Like, yeah,
No, but like
these
your whole
Leafs
hockey world,
win?
your
Like,
whole
what a
hockey
great
world
day.
came down on you on Monday. Did you go 1-3 on Monday? You went 1-3 on Monday. You might have had.
Oh, for the love of salmon sandwiches.
You might have had your worst hockey day. That was Joey in the NFL playoffs level Monday for you. The only thing you got right was the Blues.
But that's a good thing about hockey opposed to football.
Yes.
It's 7 games. I didn't have a single sweep this year.
No, me either. I never have a sweep any year. I think whenever Frankie likes to talk about flukes, I think anytime there's a sweep, anytime there's a sweep, I think that's a fluke. Like, sweeps are flukes. You should win 1 game out of 7. Or out of 5. Whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
another game that went on yesterday, it had its series debut, was probably the most exciting game of the playoffs so far, I would say. And that is the game between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Rangers. The Pittsburgh Penguins needed triple overtime for Evgeny Malkin to tip a John Marino shot past the goaltender Igor Shesterkin, and the Pittsburgh Penguins win game 1. Joe, I'll start with you on this one because, believe it or not, an hour ago I started with Frankie on the Leafs Lightning series. An hour ago, felt like an hour conversation. Who do you have? Are you going to keep it that way, and why?
I have the Rangers. I'm obviously keeping it that way. I have the Rangers in 7 games. Now, this is a much different feel to the previous series we just talked about with a 7-game series, where there's going to be games in the series we just talked about, like we saw on Monday, 5-0, the Leafs win. I think the Lightning are going to win a blowout here or there. I wouldn't be surprised if every single one of this Rangers Penguin series is a 1-goal game. We're going to see a lot of overtime. And I'm going to sound like a clown for saying this because, yeah, of course I'm going to say this. I saw that going into this series, and obviously it came true. And I'm not saying I sit here and predict triple overtime.
When you say that stuff, I don't think we admit when we're wrong on this show.
Yeah. Going into the series, I would have probably said, like, there's going to be a lot of overtime in this series. And sure as shit, first game goes to triple overtime. Jake Gensel there's no difference for this guy, whether it's regular season, playoffs. Like, he is a bona fide goal scorer. There's always going to be the people who say, well, yeah, when you're playing with Sidney Crosby, you're going to become a gifted goal scorer like Chris Kunitz in the past, Pascal Dupuis at time. I disagree. Jake Gensel
before Gensel.
Jake Gensel is a legitimate goal scorer in the NHL. He proved it yesterday. He's gonna need to be essentially their best player, their best consistent goal scorer in the playoffs. Obviously, you're gonna have Crosby. You're gonna have overtime heroes like Evgeny Malkin.
He's their second best player still.
Yeah, but
the pass he made to Rust was.
Yeah, so it's just gonna be a lot of the Hall of Famers coming to play for Pittsburgh. But then you look at that Rangers side, man, and they're going to be tough to beat. I think this is going to be a very fun series. I'm still sticking with the Rangers. I would have liked them to get off to game 1, especially, with the series starting off at home for them. But they're going to be able to win games in Pittsburgh. I'm not worried about that. I think they have probably one of the best defensemen in the league, in the world, in Adam Fox, and he opened up the scoring of this game. So I don't know. I'm sticking with the Rangers. I just think it's going to be a very, very close series. Bet the underdog, the +1.5. Just throw it on any parlay and it'll hit.
Frank?
I got the New York Rangers coming out of this series against the Pittsburgh Penguins. I really like the way Shesterkin's been playing. He's my pick for the Vezina. I mean, his numbers are just unreal. I think it's going to be hard for Pittsburgh to keep up what they did yesterday. I mean, they had 83 shots on goal. We saw combined 151 total shots on goal. Shesterkin became second in most career playoff saves. It's just the Rangers, they have a lot going on. Panarin, like I said, is going to be a force to be reckoned with in this series. I think the biggest thing that helped the Penguins win yesterday is these are their most prolific players. You got Malkin, Crosby, Letang, Rust, and Gensel. Those 5 players, those are going to be the players that completely take over the Pittsburgh Penguins and give the Penguins the best chance of winning on any given night. They combined for 10 of 11 points yesterday, which just proves if all of them are on their game, they're going to be a hard team to take down. But I think the New York Rangers with Shesterkin and everybody else on the team, Fox, Panarin, who else, whatever, I think they're going to just be able to win over their series. I don't see it going 7 games. I could see the Rangers winning in 6.
All right. We've yet to go 3 for 3 on a series because I picked the Pittsburgh Penguins. I was a little worried. Shesterkin played out of his mind. Now there's talk about Georgiev starting game 2 because he basically played 2 full games yesterday. And if Georgiev plays game 2 and Pittsburgh shits on him, it's over. For me, the thing that's crazy, Crosby might have had his best playoff game that he's ever had. And this is a guy with 3 Stanley Cups and many playoff points and 2 Conn Smythe trophies. They were They outchanced the Rangers when Crosby was on the ice, 28-2. That is unbelievable. The Crosby Gensel line is unreal right now. Shesterkin's the best goalie in the league right now. At least he was this season. We'll talk about that in the third period. He could steal them the series because he played out of his mind. The Rangers didn't deserve to get to overtime yesterday. The Penguins were the better team, and the Rangers have the better goalie. My one worry with my pick, I'm not going to flip. I can't flip. I'm not flipping really on any. But if Louis Domingue, who played outstanding at the end of double overtime and all of triple overtime yesterday, but if they have to use their third string goalie for the rest of the series, then I would probably think the Rangers take it. But if DeSmith can get back in there, or if by some, I don't know the full status of them, if they could get Tristan Jarry back, then I think that will go a long way as well. But yeah, I got the Pittsburgh Penguins and I'm sticking with it. I was very, very, very happy. I picked right in Bucci Overtime Challenge yesterday, and he didn't retweet me. So fuck you, John.
He's busy. He's over here calling games and stuff.
He retweeted people who picked Malkin. There was Bucci Overtime Challenge yesterday. Okay. Every playoff game that goes to overtime, I picked Malkin and Lafreniere, and Malkin scored. I don't know why I picked Lafreniere. Of course, that guy's not scoring. No, he actually had a really good year. So that's another good Ranger player. But the fact that the Rangers got off to a lead and blew it with that goalie, that's more reason. Yeah, they had a 2-goal lead, and they blew it with that guy in net. Talking about Shesterkin, that's a tough loss. And he played 2 full games, essentially. So if they start Georgiev, but then what if they start Shesterkin and he's not on his game because he's got fatigue or whatnot? That's possible too. So I think get going that far into overtime and losing, tough for the Rangers. So hopefully that sticks. Let's go Pens. The last series, are we going to go unanimous on this one, even though we all might have been wrong?
We went unanimous on the Colorado series.
Oh, yeah. You're right. And Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, you're right. We did go. Thanks for calling me out on that. Because I was wondering. The Washington Capitals played against the Florida Panthers on Monday, and the Panthers had a lead late, and they blew it. My Stanley Cup champion. The team that I picked to win the Stanley Cup in my bracket, they blew it to the Washington Capitals. Frank, who did you pick? Would you change? Why?
I would not change. I chose the Florida Panthers, and much like the rest of the series that have just gone one game, I'm not worried. I do think the Washington Capitals are the weakest Eastern Conference playoff team in the playoffs. You just got to look at the teams, and I think the proof is in the pudding. The Capitals surprised me for sure, but the Panthers disappointed me. The Panthers defense just didn't show up. You can't allow 38 shots in a playoff game, let alone a regular season game. So with it being a playoff game, you let up 38 shots on goal against the Washington Capitals. I mean, the Panthers are better than this. They won the President's Trophy. We all know what they're capable of. Another thing that I think factored into the Washington Capitals winning is they were able to shut down Huberdeau and Barkov, who combined for 0 points. When they're contained, they're a very beatable team. I mean, look at Joe. We saw the Boston Bruins beat the Florida Panthers. The Panthers are a very beatable team if you know how to do it. I just don't see the Washington Capitals keeping it up for a 7-game series. So I'm going to stick with the Florida Panthers, probably winning in 5 or 6.
Joe?
I'm going to stick with I have the Florida Panthers. I'm going to stick with them. And I don't necessarily think I never thought it was going to be a sweep or maybe even 5 because, say what you want. There's a lot of pressure on these Florida Panthers. They are the undoubtedly best team in the league, and now they have to prove it. And the Washington Capitals are not just going to, they're not an easy opponent, regardless of what you think about them in the season they had. They actually had a phenomenal stretch at the end of the season. I think another guy who had a phenomenal stretch, who I actually think, especially depending on how Game 2 goes, could see ice time, and that's Spencer Knight. I wouldn't be surprised one bit if they end up going with him, especially if they lose both games in Florida. Like, you got to switch something out. And Spencer Knight was hot at the end of the regular season. So we'll see what happens there. But I agree. I don't think. They were contained in game one, Frank Barkov and Huberdeau, but those are two guys that you're not going to be able to contain for very long. So if they're able to get going, and then on top of Claude Giroux scoring, it was a close game. They without the empty netter, it's a 1-goal game. So I mean, there's a lot of pressure on the Florida Panthers, but I think ultimately they'll still get it done. They got to win the second game though. I mean, going back to Washington down 2-0. I don't know then. I might be changing my tune after game two, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think Washington is as weak as people think. I think the Rangers are the weakest team in the Eastern Conference. I think they're a pretty good team with an outstanding goalie. Washington got really hot at the end of the year. I mean, Joe, you saw them play the Bees. They got really hot at the end of the year. And Ovechkin got to 50 again. I think he's going to get to 50 again next year if he's healthy. He looked motivated in that game. We got a goal from Timothy Jimothy, which I think is outstanding. I love when TJ Oshie scores goals. Washington's tough. They have a lot of experience. They're kind of like the Kings of the East, like that team that they got some new players. Like they get contributions from Connor McMichael and stuff like that. Where do Connor McMichael's parents get off naming him Connor? Like we have 2 Connor Micks in the playoffs. Like get out of here, Connor McMichael. Change your name. Just kidding. They're like McDavid was probably like 4 when McMichael was born. Yeah, I picked Florida. I think they're going to win I had them winning the cup, but I'm nervous. I'm not going to flip, but that's the game. That's the series I was talking about. We were talking about the West when you guys first said you're not going to flip on any. I'm not going to flip. That'd be the ultimate flip because I've been riding with the Panthers since, September, Joe. Is that when I made my first Panther claim? But, I mean, you lose game 1 in kind of heartbreaking fashion like that. You better come and win game 2. Like, this is different to me than the Leafs and the Lightning or the Wild and the Blues. Like, the home team can't go down 0-2. Like, that's the Leafs, if they lose tonight, if you guys are right and the Leafs lose tonight, they go to Tampa tied 1-1. Then if you're the Leafs, you got to steal one in Tampa. Same thing with the Wild. The Wild are in the same boat as the Panthers. But I think the Wild, they're a little more battle-tested, I think, most of their core. And I don't know, it just feels different. Like we've seen the Wild do stuff. We haven't seen the Florida Panthers do stuff. They're the longest drought series win of any team in the playoffs. 1996 was the last time that the Florida Panthers won a playoff series, which really funny how the Leafs are the joke of the NHL with that, but not the Panthers. But, it is what it is. The Panthers, they have a really good roster. People started talking about Joel getting reinstated to come coach in the NHL again. I don't know about that yet. I don't know how I feel about that. He's an elite coach, but some of the stuff doesn't sit well with me as far as being a human. But I think, Joe, you have the Bruins coming out of the East?
Yes.
Frank, you have the Carolina Hurricanes? And I have the Florida Panthers. So another trio of teams here. Do you think one of our 3 teams actually gets there now?
I do.
I think the hardest challenge for the Bruins is that Carolina Hurricanes. So yes, if the Carolina Hurricanes come out of that series,
I got to be honest. If the Bruins beat the Hurricanes, they're going to the Cup, I think.
So me and Frankie agree with each other.
I think it's so unlucky that the Bruins got matched up with the Hurricanes and just how much they dominate them. They play any other team, I'm taking the Bruins in the first round.
Okay, yeah.
So, even the Panthers, I don't care who they're playing. I've seen it from the Bruins all year how well they could dominate teams. The only team that I haven't seen the Bruins dominate is the Carolina Hurricanes, and that's what made me nervous.
And that's a fair point because honestly, the thing with the Leafs. They only played them 3 times this year. This is what I hate about the alignment. Yeah, I hate the way the playoffs are right now in terms of certain teams playing. Here's what I hate about the alignment. The Leafs are a division rival. Both teams are at the height of their powers that they have been in the past, 5 years or so. And in the regular season, they only played the Leafs 3 times.
Really?
Yeah. They only played the Leafs 3 times. There's 2 teams from each division that you only get stuck playing 3 times. And if changing that meant not playing every team in the league once, I'm okay with that. I don't need to see the Bruins play Seattle Kraken in the regular season. I don't need to see it. I'd rather more games against the division opponents to prevent stuff like that. They only played them 3 times, the Leafs, and the one of the games was the final game of the season where the Bruins' top 6 were out. Their top 3D were out. They were literally resting everyone. Austin
Well, the
Matthews
Leafs were
didn't play.
too.
John Tavares didn't play. Mitch
Matthews.
Marner didn't play. Morgan Riley didn't play. Like, none of the Leafs big guys and none of the Bruins big guys. It was a preseason game. It was a preseason to the postseason game. And then before that, I believe it was in like January or something. How are teams playing in January? How does that affect what's going on in April? It doesn't. So I hate the way the alignment is for that, because the Bruins haven't even got a good look at the legit Toronto Maple Leafs in months. So
That's fair. I think we're not giving enough respect as a podcast to the Leafs Lightning series as a whole. I think the winner of that series could easily go to the Cup. You know, I probably would roll with one of our 3 teams if I had to bet on it. But the winner of that Lightning Leafs series could absolutely make noise the rest of the way.
I got one of our 3 in the Cup as well. If the Hurricanes beat the Bruins, then yes, they probably will continue to dominate because they just beat the best team in the league.
Well, I think the Hurricanes would beat the Penguins or the Rangers. And I think
Yes,
the Bruins,
The Bruins or the Hurricanes will beat any team in the Eastern Conference.
yeah, except the Leafs. Okay,
So me and Frank are literally on the same exact page, except that first round.
Yeah. I don't disagree, though, with either your guys' Bruins or Hurricanes takes. Not one bit.
It's hard for me to
I'd
back
like to
up
see
anything
Freddie
he
get
said.
back.
I also don't think Antti Raanta is going to be able to do that every game, so they need Freddie back. But I mean, it's hard to disagree, because even before Monday's game, it was you could argue it's even worse. 16 goals for Carolina, 1 goal for Boston, and they lost 3-0 in their season series. So being outscored 16-1 in a season series, like, it's hard to say that team is just going to come out and figure it out against these guys. But playoffs are a different game, and hopefully the Beast steal one here in Carolina.
When the Bruins were out shooting them 10-2 in the first period, and I told you that that's ugly, like, you need to score, and that usually works in the favor of the team getting dominated, because if they come down and score on their next chance, yet they're still getting outshot 10-3 but winning 1-0, that kind of played for the Bruins Hurricanes game there. That, like, I was half kidding, but I also wasn't, because I've seen so many games where the New Jersey Devils dominate the first half of the first period. I'm talking out shooting the team 10-2. They might even get one. And then either winning 1-0 or tied 0-0, they let the other team come and get one on like their 4th shot. And then they just dominate the rest of the game, and the Devils lose 5-0 after just dummy. You got to get one home early if you're going to dominate like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And for me, it comes down to the power play. Their power play needs to be better. They need to score on the power play. They can't. They were 0 for 30 something, and like they finally started going in the final couple games of the season. But I look at things in a long-term, large sample size stretch. Marchand needs to be better. The power play as a whole needs to be better. They need to capitalize on chances. You can't outshoot them 14-2 or whatever it was at one point. And I honestly think that this team, from what I've seen, are capable of fixing these mistakes. I expect a very early goal today. The first goal wasn't scored. It was scored by Slavin, that deflection. Or Jarvis, I'm sorry. I think Slavin took the shot. That came at like 24 minutes into the game, so early into the second period. I expect a goal within the first 5 minutes of the game today.
Type in @Vinny Parisi, Seth Jarvis on your Twitter, and you'll see how bad I wanted the Devils. That's like my guy. I always have a guy in each draft that no matter what team he gets drafted to, I'll cheer him because I wanted my team to get him that bad. The Devils had 3 picks. Hey, Ruben. The Devils had 3 picks in the 2020 NHL draft. 7, 18, and 20. I wanted them to get Jarvis so bad, and the Hurricanes took him right before. I wanted Jarvis so bad. You'll see some nice complimentary tweets of me talking about Seth Jarvis before he was even drafted by the Hurricanes. So congrats to him. I know he's playing the Bees, but you can offer up congrats to a guy who's just playing real well. And yeah, shake your head no.
No, he's a jerk.
Yeah, well, technically. We have a lot to talk about still. I have a very important question to lead off with in period number 3. Welcome to period 3. Pretend you didn't make your matchups for money. Pretend everything is just your opinion and you're not going based on winning the bracket here. If money wasn't on the table, would you say you like... Or no. Save what I just said for the next question. Pretend that you don't hate the alignment, right? Do you think all the matchups are good? Joe, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I do. Obviously, it's a good matchup. A playoff series between the high-powered Tampa Bay Lightning and the high-powered Toronto Maple Leafs. The defensive teams, and I believe both teams had a pretty low total goals against in the Boston Bruins and Carolina Hurricanes. Division rivals, Pittsburgh, New York Rangers, playoff history there. The season history between the Blues and the Wild. I really have not much to complain about this year's playoff matchup in the first round, other than the fact that there's going to be some pretty damn good elite Stanley Cup contenders eliminated after the first round.
That's my biggest issue with the alignment. But the one positive, and I've heard Gary Bettman allude to this, is that the way things are aligned guarantees that every first round matchup will be between like division rivals that hate each other, or like a wild card team against a top team that and a lot of the times it creates outstanding playoff matchups in the first round. And I would rather the chaos later in the playoffs than early, but they believe that having it early creates more intrigue for the rest of the playoffs, which I kind of understand from a business perspective. But Frank, I'd like your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I like the rivalry series we got going on right now. Blues Wild has always been a favorite of mine, dating back for many, many years, back when the Hawks were winning their 3 Stanley Cups, and we saw a lot of Blues Wild, Hawks Blues. Pens Rangers is always good, and it's just got that feeling when you go into Madison Square Garden, and especially with those two teams being on that ice. Bruins Hurricanes, really exciting series. 2 top titans in the Eastern Conference going at it. Kings Oilers is another great series who I think are evenly matched, and I think that series is going to be very entertaining from beginning to end. And let's not forget about Leafs Lightning. I mean, we talked about them for a long time in period number 2, and for good reason too, because I think that's going to be an outstanding series as well. So I mean, there's a couple series. I mean, we'll probably touch on here. Vinny might ask us a question, but coming up. But yeah, to me, there's 5 of the 8 matchups that are really, really like, wow, these are going to be great series.
Okay, so back to what I was saying, and I agree, by the way. I think every series has a little bit of something. The only one, Nashville versus Colorado, they have playoff history. And, they play each other. Nashville has upset them, I believe, even over the
Something's
years.
going on with your mic.
Yeah, I thought it was a connection issue, or if it was, you sound muffled.
I can't hear you. It's a...
How do I sound now?
Oh, there you go. Yeah. What'd you do?
Nothing. I just waited. It probably was a connection thing. I love all the matchups, so I'm excited to literally every single game. I'm like, okay, here we go. Even Dallas, Calgary, they don't have much playoff history, but they have played each other. You might remember that year Dallas beat them, and really wasn't even very close. Like Dallas kind of dummied them. Now the tides are kind of turned. Things are different. Each team is led by different guys. So I'm excited about the playoffs. I brought up earlier, pretend money's not on the table and you don't lose if you're wrong. Is there a series that you hope you're wrong about? Joe, I'll start with you.
Is there a series that? Well, just to finish the thought on what we were just.
Did you pick against the team that you like better?
I get what you're saying. Just to finish off a thought on what we were just talking about. Another problem I have is like with there being so many good first rounds. At least for me, I'm a very bad multitasker. When I'm watching a game, that's the game I'm watching. That's the game I'm invested in and focusing. There's so many good matchups, and obviously Boston is going to be, the peak of my interest. When I'm watching the Bruins Hurricanes games, it's hard for me to really focus on the Toronto Maple Leafs Tampa Bay series, which is a series that I'm very interested in, but I don't really get to watch those games live because I'm focused on another series. Whereas if it was differently and you save some of those amazing playoff series, and there's always going to be good first round matchups, always, no matter what way you align it. But if you save it for these big division rivals to go at it later in the playoffs when there's not as many games on, then it makes for easier watching for the audience who are actually interested in every single game like we are. So that's just another point I have. I know they stagger them by 30-minute increments, but I'm probably not going to see much of the Tampa Bay Toronto series like in real time because I will be heavily invested in the Bruins game, and then I'll see the end of it when that game ends. So that's just kind of where I'm at in that. But if money's not an option back to my playoff bracket, I probably would have Dallas beating Calgary. I do like the Dallas Stars way more than I like the Calgary Flames. For whatever reason, I don't know. I just have the Dallas Stars have always been a team that I enjoy. I have everything aesthetically about them is pleasing. I love their jerseys. I love Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, this new guy, Jason Robertson is I think a bona fide goal scorer. So the Calgary Flames have always just been the team. I don't know if it's because of the Battle of Alberta. I always kind of take Edmonton's side on that. I don't consider myself a big Flames guy, so I would probably swap Dallas. But besides that, honestly, like I'd pretty much be happy with every other outcome I have, except for in my second round. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Frankie's right that the Colorado Avalanche go on to the Stanley Cup because I would love to see the Colorado Avalanche beat the St. Louis Blues. Something about the Blues this year makes me pick them. So,
Frank?
Yeah, there's a couple series. First off, if the Bruins win, I mean, I like the Bruins more than the Hurricanes. I want to see Joey happy. So I chose the Hurricanes, but that's only because logically, from what I've seen this season, I felt like that was the right way to go. So obviously, if I could see the Bruins win that for your sake, Joe, I would take that. Another one would be the Minnesota Wild, just because there's big implications with the Blackhawks if the Wild could progress and Fleury could get 4 wins. So, I mean, wouldn't necessarily say I like the Wild better than the Blues. I kind of feel the same way about both of them, being Blackhawks rivals for so many years, each of them. But, I mean, if the Hawks could get that first-round pick, that'd be nice. But ultimately, I think the Blues are going to be the better team here and take the series.
All right. The only one I would flip, I think I picked. No,
because Mike's doing it again.
I like the Capitals
There you
more
go.
than I like the Panthers. I would say. I know I picked the Panthers in
Really?
Yeah, I love the Capitals. I watched so many Capitals games. Back when I was at like the height of my 3 TV prime, I'm kind of in transition still. When I was at the height of my 3 TV prime, the Capitals were on one of them every single time. The Capitals, the Penguins, obviously the Wild, the Leafs. Yeah, I love watching the Capitals. I hope I'm dead ass wrong about the Oilers versus the Kings. And I want the Flames to win. I want the Battle of Alberta in the second round. I think it's possible. I want the Oilers to beat the Kings. And it won't hurt my bracket or really hurt my chances of winning that much because I have the Kings getting bounced in the next round to Calgary anyway. So, yeah, I hope the Oilers beat the Kings. I was a little disappointed in the game. And, you know, if Florida's not going to win the Cup and make my bracket have a chance to win, then I would rather Edmonton win anyway. So
Yeah, and that's a good point. Like I like Dallas better as a team, but having that second round matchup with Calgary Edmonton, which is what I have in my bracket, would be hockey porn for everybody.
it really, really would be. I mean,
Yeah.
I need the Battle of Alberta in the postseason. It was promised to me each of the last 2 seasons, and then neither of them freaking came through for me. Calgary decided to be ass last year. And then so it's like, okay, a Leafs Oilers series would be really cool too. Matthews versus McDavid, the 2 best players in the NHL, and then they both shit the bed last year too. So go Oilers. Makes me so mad. The season's over. The regular season's over. The votes are in for the Vezina Trophy, the Calder Trophy, the Norris Trophy, the Selke Trophy, the Hart Trophy. I'm going to ask you who your winner is and who your other 2 nominees would be. So
We're going through all that right now.
just fire them off really quick. The Vezina Trophy. Does anybody not have Igor Shesterkin?
Take
One
that
of
as
them?
a
You said, yeah, I have Shesterkin too, but you said, does anyone not have him? So neither of us said it.
Okay. So we all have Igor Shesterkin. I'm curious, Joe, who are your other 2 nominees?
I would agree with you when you said UC Saros. I think he played out of his mind all season long. he is the reason that the Nashville Predators are even in the playoffs. And now you're kind of seeing that right now without him, because without him, that team is honestly, I don't want to say they're nothing, but it's very reminiscent of like when we saw Pecorine in that. So like he is their number one guy now, and he is proving that with his season statistics compared to the rest of the league. So UC Saros would be probably my runner-up, and then in third place, I'll have a guy who's no stranger to the Vezina Trophy nominee, and that's Andrei Vasilevsky. I just think he has been the most consistent goalie for the past 3 years, and he continued it into this year. The Lightning have been a phenomenal team. Even you'd think they'd have somewhat of a Stanley Cup hangover times 2, I guess you can say. But I mean, we'll see how this series goes. I know they didn't really start off great, but Andrei Vasilevsky, that's my other nominee for the Vezina Trophy.
Frank, I oddly enough agree with Joey's analysis on all three. Those would be my 3 nominees as well. I hate when I agree with Joey, but do you agree with us?
I'd have to throw in Markstrom in there somewhere. I don't know who I would take out, Saros or Vasilevsky. Probably take out Vasilevsky just because how Saros has been. But Markstrom is really, I mean, he was my early favorite. Coming at like the first few weeks of the season or first couple months of the season, he was one of my favorites to win it.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see him be a nominee or, get some. He deserves some votes.
I think I would vote him 4th, looking at my list here.
I don't know. I think top 4, I would have him in the top 3. I'd have him in the top 3 somewhere. But yeah, I agree. Shesterkin for sure. Saros, yeah. Saros has been out of this world. But I'd have to throw in Markstrom there over Vasilevsky, I think, just from what I've seen this season.
That's fair. This might be the easiest winner. I think Igor Shesterkin's a lock to win the Vezina Trophy. Like I don't even know the prices on any of the betting apps, but my guess is he has the biggest or the cheapest price.
Yeah, I saw what the line was on it.
Yeah.
Minus 4,000.
Yeah, that's crazy. He leads in save percentage goals against by a lot, and he played a lot of games, and they had a lot of wins. So that's going to be your Vezina Trophy winner for sure. Where it gets a little bit more interesting are the rest of the awards real quick. We could just run through them quickly. The Calder Trophy. Joe, who is your winner? Who are your other 2 nominees?
So I'm going to actually work my way from the bottom up. And I do that because I don't know if you're necessarily going to expect me to say this guy is my winner. In third place, I don't know, we're not going to know until we get the full list of the ranking, because we're just going to get the 3 nominees and the winner. They don't rank them like I'm about to. But in third place, I would give it to Michael Bunting. You could say, I say all my shit about the Leafs. He actually did have a phenomenal year as a rookie. Big part of the depth of that Maple Leafs team that I shit on so much. And to come into this league and score 63 points on that team is something that will get your name recognized for the Rookie of the Year. Second place, as much as I want this guy to win it, this is one of those ones I hope I'm wrong about. Trevor Zegras. I would love to see Trevor Zegras win the Calder. I think he is slowly becoming an up-and-coming future face of the NHL, and not only with his on-ice play, but his animation on the ice, I guess you can say. He's always doing something flashy. He's probably the flashiest guy in the NHL, pulling off Michigan's, doing the fake Michigan toss over to Sonny Milano. Like, these are highlights that are going to be implemented in the video games. Like, these are moves kids are going to be trying on the pond next winter. Like, little kids see that shit, and that's just what attracts little kids to the game, I feel. And I feel like he's becoming one of the faces of the NHL in short order, and he's only a rookie. So I hope he wins it. But there's just a guy over in Detroit, and that's he plays arguably the hardest position to become elite at. I'm going to give it to Moritz Seider as the Rookie of the Year defenseman for the Detroit Red Wings. Not only is he great defensively, but he's putting up 50 points on a team that's not very good. And the future is bright in Detroit, and he's the front and center of that. So I think he ultimately wins the Calder Trophy.
Frank?
Joe, my list is a little bit different than yours. Third, I have Lucas Raymond, just because, Detroit's a very young team here. And Joe, you talked about Seider, and they got Raymond too. And they got a lot of good things going in that organization. I really like the way Raymond has played all year for the Detroit Red Wings. Second, I got Lundell on the Panthers. Missed some time due to injury, but which could ultimately hurt him. But I really like the way he played. I mean, you're already going to a stacked Florida Panthers team, and getting to play on such a great franchise right now. I do think that he would come in second in votes, but like I said, the time that he missed could hurt him. I don't know how that'll play into it. But the clear favorite, and all three of us will agree, Moritz Seider. I mean, this defenseman, he played on all 82 games, and he had 7 goals and 43 assists. That's 50 points for a rookie defenseman, which is just outstanding, especially for a team that didn't even make the playoffs. I mean, they were just clicking. He's just clicking on all cylinders. Not to mention, he did have 2 shorthanded assists, so he's playing on the penalty kill. I mean, this kid is doing it all. I think that it's Siders to take, and he would get my vote as for the Calder Cup trophy.
We're 3 for 3 on picking Moritz Seider to win the thing. I think he will win it. Outstanding defenseman. We could be talking Norris trophies, in the future. In second, I would give it to Bunting, and then in third, I would go Raymond. So pretty much a combination of the two lists. Or Joe, do I have the exact same list as you?
Yeah. You said Seider. No, I said Zegras.
Oh, Zegras. Zegras will be in the top 5. Jeremy Swayman.
I think Zegras gets a nominee. I think he gets a nominee just because the NHL. I know that. I don't know. There's something about Zegras. Yeah, but there's something about Zegras where it's like people love him.
I know.
It's like, and it's undeniable. The people who get to vote, they like Trevor Zegras is going to become a face of the NHL. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think that has. And I think that has part to play. Like, this dude they pretty much forced his hand at the All-Star game. He was not an All-Star yet. They said, "Hey, you're coming in as a celebrity. Put on a show for these kids," and that's what he did.
Yeah. I think Swayman will get votes. I think Zegras will get votes. Name nobody mentioned. Frankie mentioned Lundell. I think he'll get votes. But a name that nobody mentioned is this Jeannot kid on Nashville, Tanner Jeannot. 20. He leads all rookies in goals. Like he'll be up there. So shout out to all the rookies. The NHL. It seems like there's more and more Calder nominees or like chance to be nominees every single season. Where like the last couple of years, it was always the first overall pick, a surprise guy, and a goalie. Now there's always like legit 7 or 8 guys that in December are looking like guys who could win the Calder Trophy. So we mentioned Moritz Seider, as all 3 of us had a chance to win him. I said he has a chance to one day win the Norris Trophy. And speaking of the Norris Trophy, I think there's 2 clear front runners. Whoever doesn't win will come in second place. And then I honestly think there's a clear number 3. But we'll see if you guys agree. Frank, I'll start with you on the Norris Trophy.
Yeah, I mean, this was probably the hardest decision I had to make on who I think is going to win it. I think it's literally 50-50. But then after doing some digging, I found who I would pick to win. I'll start with number 3, though, and I think that's Adam Fox for the New York Rangers. I think Fox is just – I don't know. From a defenseman's point of view, I like what Fox has seen, and ultimately that's contributed to a lot of their success. And you see how he performed in Game 1 of the playoffs, too. I know you don't take into consideration the playoffs, but I mean, it just proves like how well of a defenseman he truly is, and getting the scoring capabilities from him is just truly outstanding. Second, and this is where it was hard for me, I went with Cale Makar. I compared. I'll just hear it. Second's Makar, and first is Roman Josi. I compared both of them, and Makar, he scored more goals, but we're talking Roman Josi, 96 points from a defenseman, almost a 100-point season out of a defenseman. You are getting more bang for your buck with this guy. I think it should be his for the taking. I do think it could go either way, but I don't know. Roman Josi, what he's done this year, it's hard to get that many points from a defenseman, and he is having a career year by miles. It's not even close. Like we're talking, but he's breaking his career best by like 30 points. I think it's got to be Roman Josi based off that alone.
Joey.
So yeah, I'll just go ahead and start with the winner because I actually don't think this one's as hard as it might look if you just look at it.
Tied in Vegas on the price.
Yeah, I think that's crazy. I think Roman Josi is having. Is this the best year? Like at least offensively, I know that's not exactly what this trophy's about, but is it the best year that we've seen offensively from a defenseman? Like
Could
in
be.
in how long? I cannot remember a
Didn't
defenseman
Brent
who played.
Burns almost get 100 one year?
Brent Burns scored more goals too. That's the season I was leaning towards.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, Frankie said it, 96 points from a defenseman. Like I was rooting for him to get 4 more. Like I wanted to see a defenseman have 100 points. I think that would be sick.
Yeah.
So I think Roman Yossi wins this one, and then I agree with Frankie. And did you say Cale Makar, Frank?
Yeah.
Yeah. So me and Frankie are on the same page because I got a Cale Makar, and Adam Fox is the other 2 nominees. So give it one more year, and we'll be saying Chucky McAvoy. But there's just a couple guys who I know Vinny might even have him. He's making that face, and that'll make me happy. But there's just a couple guys who just had better years. But
I would put McAvoy 4th and Fox 5th. Whoever votes for the Norris Trophy gets 5 votes, and then they give the winner to the guy with the most points. 5 points for a first place vote, 4 points, and so on. I do think Roman Yossi's going to win, and I think Cale Makar is going to come in second. I think it's another 2-horse race. We've had that in the past with other awards. It reminds me of when Quinn Hughes and Makar went 1-2 for the Calder Trophy, and Makar beat him out by like a couple points. Like it's like that for me. 3 is Victor Hedman. I would vote Victor Hedman in 3rd place. 85 points, best defenseman on one of the best teams, outstanding defensively. I think if you made a defenseman in a laboratory for the NHL from metal, it would come out as Victor Hedman. So I think he's the best defenseman in the NHL. I just think the points that Makar and Yossi put up this year will kind of triumph over what Hedman did this year. I think McAvoy would be number 4. McAvoy set a career high in points, and he's not reaching the pinnacle of the 70, 80, 90 point totals. I don't think he ever will. I don't think he wants to. That's not the point of McAvoy. The point of McAvoy is to be in the 60, 70 point range, run a power play, and shut down the opposition's best players. He plays, out of every defenseman we've named, only Hedman compares to him in number of ice time minutes against what is considered to be elite competition in the NHL. And I think we know what we think about Victor Hedman. He's been the best defenseman in the NHL since Keith, in my opinion. And I think this world of McAvoy, he could easily win it any of these years. If he wins it, it'll be a Drew Doughty type of win or a Fox kind of win where he's got a crap ton of points, but maybe not the most points. But it's just so clear that he's the best defenseman in the league. So those are my guys. I really don't think it's going to stretch much beyond them. There are a couple people that would have given Ekblad some votes had he not gotten hurt. And I think Christopher Letang will also, his name will be on there as well. But, as far as that goes, I think we pretty much at least nailed the guys who are in the conversation. The Selke Trophy, it could go one of a million ways. To me, the Selke Trophy is the hardest thing to quantify in terms of numbers and stuff. Like, do you take face-off percentage? Do you take number of shots taken? Do you take face-off percentage? Your Corsi 4, all these things that, your expected goals against average when you're on the ice, your 5-on-5 prowess, all that sort of stuff can go into the Selke Trophy. I know who Joey's going to pick, so I'll start with him first, but I'm actually more curious to see who his other 2 nominees are.
Yeah. He's been nominated for 10 straight seasons. He's sitting currently tied for the most Selke trophies at 4. I think this is the summer that he surpasses and becomes the first player in NHL history to win 5 Selke trophies, and that's Patrice Bergeron. And I say that with the most unbiased, in the most unbiased way possible, because I truthfully believe that this was a career year for Bergeron defensively. He didn't put up as many points as he has in the past, but he's put up more points in the past and didn't win the trophy. And he put up less this year, and I think he's going to win the trophy. He set a career record in face-off percentage at 61.9%. And then in second place, you have I'm sorry, that was for his career. But I'm trying to get the career listings here, but it's hard to filter it with players who have only taken like X amount of faceoffs. Anyway, he has a career year right now in faceoff percentage. He's out there in every single situation. He is their best penalty killer. He's at the top for like penalty killing, time on ice. He's always near the top for everything. So for me, it's Patrice Bergeron's to lose this year. And then my other nominees, I'm going to go with Ryan O'Reilly of the St. Louis Blues as one of them, who also has been near the top in faceoff percentage nearly all year. And then I got rid of my list here, but just off the top, I'm going to go Anze Kopitar has had another phenomenal year. The Los Angeles Kings kind of proved everyone wrong and were a great team this year. I'm going with Anze Kopitar for that third spot.
Frank?
Joe, I couldn't agree with you more. I think Patrice Bergeron, I mean, there's a reason that he's nominated for 10 straight Selkies. I do think he'll hold the record. It's just a matter of time when the NHL wants to give that to him. I mean, yeah, you talk about it, face-offs. I mean, he's one of the greatest face-off takers that I've ever seen in my lifetime, along with Jonathan Toews, of course, who is another great face-off man, Sidney Crosby. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different centers who are good at taking face-offs, but Patrice Bergeron is, he's one of the best that I've ever seen. You talk about the penalty kill. I believe he had 122 penalty minutes or penalty kill minutes out there. And obviously he's not playing on the penalty kill for the full 2 minutes each power play. But the opposition only scored 14 goals against when he was out there in that 122 minutes of penalty kill, which is outstanding. Yeah, like you said, Patrice Bergeron, career year. I would definitely have to give him my vote. As far as second, I'd probably give second to Kopitar and third to Lindholm. But yeah, I think, honestly, Patrice Bergeron should run away with it if it was up to me.
I would vote for Alexander Barkov. I believe he was the best defensive player when you take into consideration, what they provide in their two-way game. Yeah, I really don't have much. I mean, I know he's great at faceoffs. I know he's good defensively. I would vote for Patrice Bergeron in second place and Austin Matthews in third place. Those would be my Selke Trophy nominees. Austin Matthews, low-key, scored 60 goals, and he is one of the very best defensive players in the NHL. Teams just don't get scoring chances against or for when he's on the ice playing against them. It's just not something. And a large part of it is just his pursuit of the puck and how good he is when the puck is on his stick and how good he is when the puck is not on his stick. So I would go Barkov, Bergeron, Matthews in that order. Bergeron will break it, though. They'll give it to him one of these years.
I was looking at Austin Matthews, and the only reason I kind of didn't want to say his name is because I feel like a lot of his defensive, attributes as a centerman come from he's just that skilled offensively that when he's out there, he's going to be playing offense. So, yeah. I don't know.
So you take a look at his expected goals against when he's on the ice, and specifically at 5-on-5, and the numbers are just like through the roof good. Like he might win it. I'm saying how I would vote, but it wouldn't.
And that's what I'm saying. It doesn't surprise me that his expected goals against is that good because when you see Austin Matthews, you're not expecting him to go make a defensive play. You're expecting him to get out there and just start playing in the offensive zone, which I guess the best defense is good offense because you don't have to worry about your team getting scored on when you're the one doing the scoring. And that's just kind of how I feel about Austin Matthews in terms of the Selke Trophy.
Sure. So one last thing I wanted to get to hockey-wise before we end the show with a little bit of fun. We're going to talk about one draft prospect a week until the NHL draft comes up. Last week we talked about Shane Wright, who is the consensus number 1 overall pick going into the 2022 NHL draft. This week we're going to talk about Mr. Logan Cooley. I enjoy saying that guy's last name. It's kind of funny. Logan Cooley. Matthews might win the Selke and the Hart and the Rocket. Wow. Oh, we didn't even talk about the Hart Trophy. I meant to do that before we talk about Cooley. My apologies on that. Thank you for the reminder. Does anybody not think it's Austin Matthews?
I'm sticking with Jonathan Huberdeau, but I wouldn't be surprised one bit if Austin Matthews.
I think it's Austin Matthews by line.
I can't.
Who are your nominees then?
Austin Matthews. Or I have Huberdeau winning it, Austin Matthews, and probably Connor McDavid. I mean, this dude led the league in scoring. He's somewhat of an MVP there.
Yeah. Frank?
So.
I agree with the three. I would just have it Matthews, McDavid, Huberdeau.
See, I agree with 2 of the 3. I would go Matthews, McDavid, Shesterkin.
Wow.
I think he's going to get a nominee for the Hart Trophy. I do. So back to Cooley. United States National Development Program. He just purely dominated playing for that team in that league. So far this season, he is considered to be a top prospect in the 2022 NHL draft. He will attend, no matter where he's picked. Nobody can deny he's committed. He will attend the University of Minnesota of the NCAA in 2022-23. He will be a Golden Gopher. And you got to start to wonder if the Golden Gophers are going to be similar to what Michigan was this year, having a guy like Cooley on their team. But, there's a chance he goes second, third, fourth. I don't think he gets past fifth. Frank, did you do any, thoughts or reading on Logan Cooley? What are your thoughts on this guy?
Well, yeah, he's the American center from the USHL. It's basically what I've heard. It's a mass consensus. I mean, he could go 3, but it's looking like he's going to go 2. Yeah, I mean, he's the way that a lot of these scouts are describing him. He's got Selke-like qualities. He's great on offense, defense, face-offs. He's got great on-ice awareness. He's got a nasty wrist shot. That's probably his biggest part of his game is his wrist shot, along with all the other qualities. The only thing is he is a little bit of a smaller dude. He's 5'10", but I think he's going to go second. I think he's going to make an impact in the NHL. Maybe not as much as we've seen in previous picks for number 2s in the draft. But, I mean, yeah, Cooley has been making waves from what we've seen so far. I can't wait to see what he does when he gets to the NHL.
Joe?
Yeah, he's Frank. You said he's a little guy. I was just looking at some of his numbers in terms of his physicalness or whatever he is physically. And the thing that jumps out at me is where he's from. He's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's 18 years old. You do the math. He's watching this guy Sidney Crosby in the prime of his career winning Stanley Cups, and there's got to be some influence there. I'd love to hear it come from his mouth. Very reminiscent in size. Crosby sits at 5'11". This guy sits at 5'10". Just wait for this kid to put some muscle on him, and he'll be an elite center in the NHL. Hopefully, you hope all these kids turn out to how they're supposed to. But it just intrigues me. You got a lefty centerman like that coming out of Pittsburgh, playing for the Pittsburgh Penguins youth team, and now working his way to the NHL to hopefully play against Sidney Crosby. So, interesting note.
The only way I think he doesn't go 2 overall is if whoever wins the draft lottery second spot is dead set on taking a defenseman. That's the only way I think he goes anywhere other than second. Shane Wright will go first. I think Cooley goes second, unless, like I said, I'm trying to think of a team that would take a defenseman instead. Like maybe the Devils. There's another kid in the draft that is like top 3 level quality. I think we're going to touch on him next week. He's going to be the one that I picked to talk about. But, outside of a team like that, I really don't see him not going second. I certainly think the Blackhawks, for those Chicagoans who are watching, I certainly think the Blackhawks would take him second if they won the second spot in the lottery. And in that case, I'd be kind of mad because that means they have no chance at frickin' what's his name? Bedard, because Cooley would probably go like 5th or 6th next year. But, it is what it is. I'm excited to see. As you can see on the bottom of the screen, all of the draft lottery odds are set. The draft lottery will take place on May 10th. I will be cheering on the New Jersey Devils to win that thing. Very much so. Although, again, I'm not sure if I am, because you can't win 2 in a row anymore. And I would almost rather Bedard, but are the Devils going to be that bad next year? I'm not sure, so I don't really know. We got a big day tomorrow. Tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo. I love Cinco de Mayo. It's on my Mount Rushmore of favorite holidays. Well, I'm sure we'll have plenty of Mexican food around, but also at night.
I just had Mexican food yesterday. Phenomenal tacos.
Are you laughing at what I'm laughing at?
Luigi just
No, it's not. I didn't even see him.
That was
we wanted
perfect.
to get in on the conversation.
Yeah, I did not even see him. So
Luigi thinks you're a complete clown for your Leafs take. I know that much.
Yeah,
Luigi
right.
likes the Leafs. They're the double L.
Is that true?
Tomorrow, Cinco de Dronco.
Yeah.
Very excited about it. But it's also at night. We got Doctor Strange. Guys, been looking forward to Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. What are we thinking, Frank?
Oh, I can't wait. I mean, there's so much hype around this movie.
Whenever
The
Frank
last time,
shows up,
oh,
that's how you know. That's how you know.
That's how you know something juicy's coming
Yeah.
up in the
Oh,
life.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, the last time I was this excited was obviously Spider-Man, and before that it was Endgame. And it's like Endgame, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. They all got the same feeling for me. This is just going to be an absolute. We know there's so many cameos coming out, right? There's been the red carpet premiere. There's like been actors from other franchises making hints like they're gonna appear in there. I don't know what you guys have seen from the red carpet, but there was the guy from Star Trek. Do you know what I'm talking? What's his name? I don't know his name. Not
I have
William
no
Shatner,
idea.
but like the guy from like Pickard, Star Trek Pickard, the TV show. He's like the main guy. I forgot his name, but he
I
goes.
only know Star Wars and Marvel.
I forgot his name, but he's like, "Oh, I'm just making a cameo on the red carpet," and I'm like, "Oh, dude, this dude's definitely in it." He's just like, hinting at this stuff like that. It's gonna be an absolute banger. I cannot wait. I watched Eternals last night for the first time.
Oh, how'd you like it?
I liked it. It got a lot of hate from like the
It did get a lot of hate. It's like
I
its own
enjoyed it.
thing. It's hard to like.
They
I
make
actually
a
want to see
lot
it
of
again.
references to Thanos and
Oh yeah.
Endgame and all that stuff. I'm officially caught up. I've watched everything Marvel related. So that was the only thing that I haven't watched was Eternals. So
The only thing I haven't seen is episode 5 and obviously episode 6 now just came out of Moon Knight. I did not watch episode 5 yet. So I'm 2 behind with the release of the one today.
But the reason I wanted to watch Eternals was just that small chance that
Mhm.
something from Eternals. I don't think there'll be anything from Eternals, but it's a multiverse and literally nothing is off the table. So I had to watch it just in case. All caught up, excited for Doctor Strange. 9:15 tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm very excited too. I already have seen Spider-Man, and just to show how excited I am, I was this excited for Spider-Man, and now I might even be more excited for Doctor Strange just because now it's like, okay, anything can happen. And after watching that What If episode, I don't know if you saw it, Frank, with the Doctor Strange whole multiverse thing. I think it's going to be kind of reminiscent of that. And maybe What If is going to tie into it and some of that backstory. But I've seen Spider-Man 3 times already since it came out, and make it 4 times. I just rewatched the second half of it or the end of it the other night. That's how excited I was for Spider-Man, and now I'm getting that excited again for another movie. So I expect to see this one a few times. So that's where we're at on the Doctor Strange.
Finn, what do you think?
What'd you say?
What do you think of that Doctor Strange? Where are you? I know you're a little behind on Marvel. I did want to say something about the Batman movie, but before I don't know how excited you are.
I'm just so excited. I will be ready by tomorrow, 9:15. I don't know if I'll have Moon Knight. We're not going to need Moon Knight for that though, right?
We hope.
I have no idea. Literally, nothing's off the table.
Yeah, no, I never put anything off the table because like today, I mean, Marvel does stuff forever, and they always do stuff for a reason. Today, I believe, was the finale of Moon Knight, correct?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
how long is each episode of Moon Knight?
An hour.
40 to 50 minutes, 40 to 55.
Okay. Yeah, you never know. We'll see what happens. I really want to be ready. I'd like to at least watch Spider-Man by tomorrow too. So we'll see. And then it's Star Wars Day. I want to watch one thing Star Wars. There's just a lot. But to go back to that question, the Batman compared to the Dark Knight series, I would rank it second out of the 4 movies. There's 3 in the Dark Knight trilogy. I would rank it the Dark Knight, the Batman, the Dark Knight Rises, Batman Begins. That's how I would rank it.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be probably under the Dark Knight series, obviously, and I don't know I'm not too familiar with other Batmans. I'm not crazy about like the Ben Affleck ones, or the one that Ben Affleck portrays Batman in that series with Justice League and all that. But when comparing this Batman to the Dark Knight series, it's a very different Batman, I feel. and some people like it. Most people like it. There are going to be people who don't like it. Where it's more of the detective side of Batman. The movie's really dark. It's not only dark in terms of like, okay, it's Batman, but it's dark like just visually. Like it's just a dark movie. There's not a lot of bright scenes. So there's that alongside it's not as action packed. There are action parts, but it's more of like it's a movie that you enjoy watching just so for the sole fact of following with your brain, and you get to see the detective side of Batman as well as the that physical superhero that we see in Batman, but way more of the detective side, which I thought was very interesting. And they're gonna make a sequel to it, and you never know. This has just been one movie. It seems like with Batman, the second movie is king. So we'll see how they go with this series.
Yeah. Dylan seems to think, our buddy Dylan, who's a Batman aficionado, seems to think that the Joker will kind of be a hint in that movie, and then they'll end the trilogy with him as the main villain. So we'll see what happens. But
Yeah, we will see.
what else we watching this weekend? Sports related and non-sports related. Frank, I'll start with you.
Well, you nailed it with Doctor Strange. I'll be watching Doctor Strange. I'll be watching Cubs versus White Sox, the crosstown series. I'll be watching the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs. Big Sky returns tomorrow, and I don't watch a lot of TV shows on primetime cable. Normally, my TV shows are the extent of coming from a streaming service of some sort, but Big Sky has become one of my favorite TV shows right now. It's incredible. I'm just watching a whole bunch of different things lately. The Clone Wars. I mean, my watch list is so packed right now, and I'm trying not to get behind. And probably the most excited thing I'm going to be watching this week is besides Doctor Strange, is the Moon Knight finale tonight. I will be watching that. I can't wait to see how it ends. The series has just been so good. It's my favorite Marvel TV show series so far. I just can't wait to see how it all culminates.
Joe?
I
yeah.
like that word, culminate. It's a great word. I agree, Frank. And I just, for sake of time, I haven't been able to watch episode 5 yet. So I'm still on the massive cliffhanger we talked about last week. Confused as fuck. So I'll be getting around to the conclusion of Moon Knight, and then Doctor Strange, obviously, and just kind of gearing up for Obi-Wan. That's when I'll really start to get, shaking in my boots for that Obi-Wan Kenobi series. But yeah.
What about sports?
Sports, I'm going to watch the Bruins make this comeback, this early comeback. The Carolina Hurricanes tie things up tonight. You got the first home game, game 3 on Friday night at 6 p.m. So I'm very looking forward to that. Off on Saturday, then Sunday for game 4. And then obviously all the other series that are taking place. And then, like you said, baseball's. See, I was explaining yesterday, it's hard for me to stay as invested in baseball. I'm a bad multitasker. I really get into baseball a lot when the Stanley Cup is awarded. And it's just the way I work. I don't know, but I'm enjoying the baseball season. I've already been to 4 games. So twice at Wrigley, twice at guaranteed rate.
I'm 3-1, but yeah, tied at 4.
Well, the one at Wrigley was yesterday's crosstown game, which was a phenomenal game. I was not miserable. A lot of people were saying that it was miserable with the weather. Yeah, it was cold, but I mean, you dress appropriately for that. And I actually was not miserable one bit. So it was a really fun game. Sox came out on top, so we'll see how tonight goes.
Do you know who the White Sox play this weekend?
Yes, they are in Boston, aren't they? Yeah.
Yep.
That's in Boston.
Park.
Yeah. And everyone thinks that I love that series. I really don't. I really do not like when the Red Sox play the White Sox at all. And it's just different than like when the Hawks play the Bruins or when the Bruins come to town. Like it's different. I don't know. I hate when
you're not a Hawks fan.
It's different when the White Sox play the Red Sox because it's like I really don't even care. Like it's weird. I don't know. Everyone thinks I love going to those games. I really don't like going to those games.
Well, sucks for you.
I'll be at the game.
I hope the Red Sox. I hope the Red Sox sweep the shit out of them at Fenway, and we already have a ticket, me and you, the Saturday game at Guaranteed Rate Field when the Red Sox come to town later this month. So,
well, obviously I like going. It's just like it's hard for me to root against one of them.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's the only sport where you have two equal favorite teams.
Literally two equal teams. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
If you root for the Red Sox over the White Sox in the playoffs ever, I might punch you in the head. But that's a story for a different day. You've gotten to see 4 Red Sox World Series titles. You've gotten to see 1 White Sox one. So, we'll see how that goes. We're going to get really quick to end the show to everyone's favorite segment of the week, Breaking Bets.
Where's my money, bitch?
Welcome to Breaking Bets, brought to you by the Barroom Network. We have Walter
How we
White.
doing?
We have Italian Walter White here. We have Mr. Milwaukee Bucks fan himself. How's that series going, real quick, Frank?
It's 1-1
It's 1-1.
against the Celtics. Yeah, I could wear it now since the Bulls are out.
Yeah, 100%. And I told you the Celtics were better than anybody gave them credit for. I don't know why people are just sleeping on the team in the Eastern Conference with the 3rd best record. Just makes no sense to me. But I digress. I think it's because they don't have like one super duper star like all the other teams. Like every team in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference for the most part has like an MVP level guy like the
They
Bulls.
actually have the 2nd best record.
Well, they were the 2 seed. Yeah.
Milwaukee's the 3 seed.
Even worse. Even worse. I think Milwaukee's going to win because I ultimately in the playoffs will take the team with a player that dominant. I'm talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo, but they also have a really good roster: Middleton, Allen.
And now it's 1-1 going back to Milwaukee. So
Yeah, I like to give the Celtics their due. Is all I'm saying. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But Frank, I'm actually gonna kick things off so Joey can't claim that you steal from him this week. I'm gonna let Joey go first with his bets.
Well, I actually do think we're gonna have one of the same hockey picks, and I'll just get that one out of the way. If you've watched this show for the past 2 hours and 7 minutes that we've been live, you pretty much can hint at all 3 of my picks. I've pretty much spelled them out for you and throughout the show. They're all hockey. I like to stick with hockey on Wednesdays for sake of this show being a hockey podcast. We have the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's what I love about playoffs, Frank. I love it. I love that you get value on these teams. Tampa Bay Lightning at plus 110 is free money. Give me the Tampa Bay Lightning tying this series up against the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm sorry to the Leafs fan that was in the chat. I apologize. Just it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. The Tampa Bay Lightning tie this series up. That's not the only team that's going to tie this series up. The Boston Bruins are not going down 0-2 to the Carolina Hurricanes. What?
I said now we're talking.
Now we're talking. They are not going down 0-2. They're sitting pretty at plus 106. The Bees plus, I love it. Every time I see it, I love it. And playoffs are a different story. So that game in Carolina doesn't mean anything anymore. We got another game in Carolina tonight, sending it back to Boston, tied 1-1. It's just this is the way it goes every year, my friends. I learned in the Pittsburgh Rangers game yesterday, another thing that's different from the regular season. I've been a very, very friendly bettor of the shots on goal. And in the playoffs, if you have a game that goes into overtime, that shots on goal is going over. Unless it's an overtime game that ends right away, those games that go into overtime, the over is going to hit almost every time. So I love betting the over on the shots on goal even more now because the fucking Rangers finished with 83 shots on goal or something like that. Imagine betting the over for the game. The one team just hit it. So we got the Bruins having over 33.5 shots. By far one of the best shooting teams in the league. They finished with 36 in game 1 and the game that they lost. I expect them to come out even harder tonight than they did in game 1. So the only difference, the puck's going to go in the net this time.
Frank?
Joe, you had the Lightning money line at plus 110. I'll do you one better. They're plus 117. I'm seeing them at. I think that's even greater value. You smashed the Lightning.
That's a free $7.
That is a free $7. And you're not going down 2-0. No way. I will gladly take the Tampa Bay money line at plus money. I think the bookies think we're on glue, which is fine. It benefits us. But that's all I have for hockey. We'll go over to the MLB. See, the Yankees have won 11 in a row. That's going to end soon. I think it's going to end tonight.
The April champions, Frank. The April champion New York Yankees.
I think that the Toronto Blue Jays are too good to get swept. Plus, it's even better that the Yankees are on an 11-game win streak just because, like I said, it's going to end eventually. And I don't see them sweeping Toronto in Toronto. But the Toronto Blue Jays are plus 131, and part of the reason why they're kind of a medium-sized dog is because they do have the worst pitcher going. But I don't care. I think the Toronto Blue Jays are going to win this game. Take them plus 131, and you'll understand why it's so hard to sweep teams, especially a team of the Toronto Blue Jays caliber. Thirdly, in my last pick, we're going to head over to the NBA. Mavericks and the Phoenix Suns, Game 2. The Phoenix Suns won Game 1 by a score of 121 to 114. It was a 7-point difference. They just covered. They were -6 in the first game. However, the second game for the losing team always just seems it's hard to beat teams multiple times in a row, especially by that big of a margin, which is why I love the Mavericks +6 at -106. I do think – I'm not saying they're going to win this game, but if they did, I wouldn't be surprised. The Suns are probably going to win the series, but I think the Mavericks will have a better game, and if they have a better game, they lost by 7 the first game. The only thing they can only go up, even if it's by a couple points, they should cover the +6. So I love the Mavericks at +6 at -106. And I see Slinky in the chat said the Preds are a +8,000 to win the cup. Should I put $10 on it for just a joke? I will. You could send the $10 to me, and I will pay out if they win. But that would just be a waste of the $10 in my opinion. But I'll give you $800 or whatever it would be if they won. But I'd gladly take the 10 off your hands.
Yeah,
I agree.
I don't understand doing that. Putting money on something that's like such a long shot, just like in case. Like before the series started, maybe. But after what you saw yesterday, like you still want to do that, guy? Not a good idea. So that's our show. We have just a great 2-hour conversation on the Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll talk a little nerdy stuff. It's Star Wars Day. Happy Star Wars Day to everyone. It was a great show. Baby Yoda and I just chilling here, watching some Star Wars, talking hockey. Me and Joey will scream at each other about the Leafs until one of us dies. Like that's just going to be the way it is for the next 50 years or so. I'm excited about that Game 2 tonight against the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's two really good teams, regardless of what either of us say. Both of those teams have star power. They have Hall of Famers. They have all-time greats. And I'm very, very excited to watch that game tonight. Of course, tonight is also the Crosstown Classic finale at Wrigley Field between the Chicago White Sox and the Chicago Cubs. I will be recapping all of that tomorrow on Crosstown Crosstalk at 2 o'clock. And then on Monday night, me and the boys will talk about all the things that go on in the Crosstown Classic and in the series against the Boston Red Sox. I'm very excited about it. That's Monday night. Of course, tonight on the Barroom Network at 7 p.m. Central Time, you can watch the Mac and Reed Show. Evan and Ross will review the entire 2022 NFL Draft in terms of the Chicago Bears. And, of course, talk a little Chicago baseball, referencing the Crosstown Classic that we are witnessing. And then at 9 p.m. Central Time, the Science Fiction Show will have an update on all the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all the DCEU movies and TV shows. Of course, today's Star Wars Day. I'm sure they'll be talking a little May the 4th be with you. I'm sure they'll be talking some Doctor Strange. Comes out tomorrow. Very excited for all of that. Barroom Network, guys. If you're not watching the Barroom Network, I don't know what your problem is. We got great shows going across all sports, all entertainment. I consider entertainment to be like pizza. There's all sorts of different flavors, and they're all delicious. So you could come to the Barroom Network to recap all of them. I'm very excited. Frank, Joe, do you guys have anything left to say before we head on out of here? Frank?
Just enjoy these playoffs. Before you know it, they'll be gone, and we'll be in the off season, and you're going to wish there'll be hockey. So enjoy everything you got here, especially for the NBA too, all these sports, because they go quick, and then they're gone for a while, and then you lose that fix. So just enjoy every second of it.
Joseph?
Game 2 tonight, Bruins.
Whoa.
A lock, Bean. We'll be talking next week. We might have a couple reverse sweeps to talk about next week.
And there's another song to sing. You making my dreams come true. Ooh, 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 ooh. Make sure you follow at the King Bean on Twitter. Make sure you follow at Joey Parisi on Twitter. I am at Vinny Parisi on Twitter. And as always, let's go White Sox. Let's go Leafs. Let's go, Star Wars. Go, Leafs, go. Thank you for listening.
Just do it.
Kind of thought my head was gonna, kind of tickles. Nope. It ain't happening, man.
What's going on here? Ouch. Is there a problem here?
Yeah, there is a problem. Watch this.